Hello, listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is the Awards Watch Podcast, episode 259. I am your host, Executive Editor Ryan McQuade, recording this live inside a virtual intergalactic bookcase. And joining me today is Sophia Ciminello.
I'm so much happier now that I'm dead.
Our associate editor, Sophia Ciminello. And Josh Parham.
Man, I'm just so happy to be the lone interstellar defender.
And Dan Bayer.
Smells like balls.
Yep, that's right, folks. We're not talking about Here or Conclave, Juror Number 2, any of the fall stuff from this year. We'll get to that in the next couple weeks. We're here to do another retrospective, and this is over the films of 2014, so 10 years old, 87th Annual Academy Awards. Guys, it's only like a decade ago. Where were you guys 10 years ago? Sophia, where were you 10 years ago?
I was a senior in college, so these are still pretty fresh in my mind. I was really thinking about the Oscars, watching every nominee. Even though I was like really busy at the time, I still made time to go see all of the Best Picture nominees when they were out in theaters, especially over the holidays. And this was one of, when I think back to heartbreaking Oscar ceremonies for me, this was a major one because I loved quite a few films this year and was just disappointed with how many of these categories turned out. We'll get into that, I think, as we talk through them. But yeah, I was very, very into film and into the Oscars at the time. So I think it'll be fun going back and talking about how we felt then and how we feel now, 10 years later.
We're in the middle of the 2010s. It's a year, we're in the sliding scale era. And it's a year that really has some wonderful films that we'll talk about and some replacements that we'll have. It has some very frustrating films that I know everybody has at least one or two, maybe 3 or 4 films that are nominated here overall that we'd like to just eradicate and get rid of off this planet. Josh, where were you 10 years ago, buddy?
So 10 years ago, I actually remember I was working in a movie theater at the time. So a lot of these movies I actually have memories of when they came out and being actually in the environment and working around it. And I will never forget, my proudest memory is when Nightcrawler came out and you were supposed to check IDs for R-rated movies, and I didn't check any IDs for that film. That and Foxcatcher. Both of them I were like, you're buying a ticket to this movie? I don't care. You could be like 12 years old and I'm letting you win.
Josh, you're my hero because I feel like for most of my life I had to like drag my parents to things that they clearly didn't want to see. Some like R-rated, costume drama or something crazy or whatnot that like they were just like, I'm not interested. He can go by himself. So you're like my favorite kind of person that works in movie theaters. Just like, you come here all the time, go see this movie. Who cares? Dan, where were you 10 years ago?
So 10 years ago, I moved to New York City.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
Nice.
I moved in a Labor Day week, like the week after Labor Day. So most of the year I spent back and still living in Connecticut, and then just in time for awards season, moved to New York City. I still remember the first time I went to the Paris Theater to see The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby in the
which one
cut that had that had both in the cut that had them all stitched together, so the full like 3-hour thing. And I forget which order it was, but you had like the option of seeing it either with him first and then her first and then him. And I know that I specifically like researched which one it was like the ideal preferred way to do it and did it. But now 10 years later, I cannot remember which one of those it was.
Like the movie itself, nobody remembers that.
Yeah,
no, I was gonna say that was like an obsession that year of everybody was like, I gotta see the right version of that movie. And then now 10 years later, nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of
I forgot about it completely until you said it, honestly.
We're actually gonna pause the recording. Yeah. We're gonna pause the recording right now so we can all go watch the correct order of that movie. 10 years ago, I was in Sophia's boat. I was like right about to graduate college and then be like a a real boy in the professional world. I saw so many movies this year. It's ridiculous. They're going through the like list of films. I think I might have seen, this was like one of those years where I started seeing like 120, 130, 140 films, like seeing everything that came out. I remember feeling at the time just relief over certain things, like feeling the relief of not having to go back to Middle Earth for a long time. Because this is like the year of the last Hobbit film, I believe. And
speaking of forgotten movies,
yes, speaking of forgotten films, though, there's a lot of great there's a lot of great popcorn films. I mean, obviously, this is the year of Guardians of the Galaxy and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Winter Soldier, Days of Future Past, Interstellar, like Josh's beloved Interstellar. There's also the great drive. I remember one month I had to drive, to the small little theater so I could see Grand Budapest Hotel, or we had to drive all the way to Austin so that we could see Boyhood with a crowded, crowd. We had to go to another small theater that was very off point to see Inherent Vice. And then this was one of the first years I got to see an advanced screening of anything, and that was for everyone's favorite, Into the Woods. So there was a lot.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it in the woods. There was a lot of just great discoveries this year as well. One of the truly, I think the best horror films of the last 20 years is in this year. There's a lot of great movies. And then there's also a lineup of movies that I'm not really that big a fan of. I know that this group has already talked about the best picture winner here a little bit when we've talked about our best picture rankings, director rankings.
Yep.
I know Josh's stance on this man in general within Iñárritu, so we don't really have to go too far into the Birdman of it all. Did anybody rewatch it for this exercise, or is it too recent that you guys are pretty set in stone on your opinions on Birdman?
I have seen that film so many times.
Okay.
I have seen it just enough.
Me too. Yeah.
I came into this, as I do most discussions about this year, knowing that I will be among the few defenders of that movie. So I will say prepared.
This. I will have nicer things to say about it when we do the acting categories. Outside of that, I will not have many kind words.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair, Josh.
I'll have a nice thing to say about it in one category. Best actor.
There we go.
When we get there. I will there.
Well, you can't you can't go wrong with the Keats. Keats is
no.
Michael Keaton's incredible.
He's great.
Per our new sort of twist on this and not doing trivia and sparing the team of any trivia whatsoever from this year, even though I might throw something in here before we start.
Well, when we get into the more recent years, we might actually know a little bit more.
Yeah, we might know a little bit more. That is fair. Josh, is there a below the line category in particular this year that you love or are frustrated with? Because this is a frustrating year, as well as also being like a really great year of film. The Oscars were a bit frustrating this year. Is there a below the line category though that you were actually really, upon retrospective and looking at it, being like, actually they got it really right, or no, they did not at all?
Yeah, there's like three actually that I've been going back and forth between, but I do feel like I have to be true to myself and say that I think the Interstellar score is one of the greatest pieces of music that we've ever gotten. I mean, the fact that people are still referencing that, like in, TikToks and whatever, like people still will reference back to that score. And I think even if you're not a big a fan of the movie, the music is, I think, a highlight of Hans Zimmer's career. And certainly to me, my favorite collaboration between him and Nolan. So I think that is just a heavenly score. And if there was any justice, it actually should have been sweeping the category, because to me, it is like undeniable how deserving that work is.
Yeah. I mean, I love that score. It's one of Zimmer's best. I actually don't have, though, a problem with Desplat either. I think that's one of his best and a much better win than what he wins for, like 4 years later for Shape of Water. And, but yeah, no, I agree with you. The impact of Zimmer's work there it's beyond just like what he's done mostly with Nolan, which is a very, very bombastic story. There's a lot of sweetness, I think, behind a lot of that, and it's very personal for him and Nolan too. And that was their last collaboration, or no, they worked on Dunkirk. That's right. That's right. Sophia, is there a category that you like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I also love the Interstellar score. I still listen to that one sometimes when I'm writing or getting work done. It's a great one. I am always happy when Queen Milena Canonero wins an Oscar, and I really love the tech wins for the Grand Budapest Hotel. I really enjoy that movie, and especially the costumes. I mean, she won her first Oscar when she was just 29, I believe, for Barry Lyndon, and has just been doing really great work ever since. And the Grand Budapest Hotel was her last win, at least as of now. So I hope she'll continue to do great work with Wes Anderson and with other directors too. But I think that her work in this movie in particular is just so bright and colorful, and is, I think, what she does with the uniforms is really beautiful, and just looking at the category as a whole too, very deserved winner. But I'm also happy Mark Bridges is there for Inherent Vice. Anytime he gets in for a PTA movie, I'm happy. But yeah, she's a very deserving winner here, and I love that movie's wins in makeup and hairstyling and in production design as well.
Yeah, I mean, also you have that iconic Angelina Jolie look of Maleficent.
Those cheekbones.
Those cheekbones. and then obviously to Colleen Atwood and Jacqueline Durran, who's like the staples in the category.
Yeah.
But also just the overwhelming love for the Grand Budapest Hotel. Really the last time a Wes Anderson film has been overwhelmingly loved by the Academy. Obviously, he just won his Oscar in the shorts category for Henry Sugar, but in terms of feature film, this is the last time we've had that.
I do just also want to mention that one of my favorite stats about Milena Canonero is that she has 4 Oscars in 4 different decades.
Yeah.
80s, 90s, 2000s, and the 2010s. So
she's coming for one this decade.
Good.
Legend.
Yeah.
Please.
I mean,
she did
look,
the Marie Antoinette costumes. She put Adrian Brody in the tight white t-shirt last year. We owe her a lot.
She knows what she's doing.
Look, I like the costumes in Megalopolis. You know, not to talk anything else about the quality of the movie. I'm not doing that.
Absolutely. One of the few unreservedly good elements of that movie.
Exceptional. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Platinum. Okay. Anyway. Dan.
I was actually going to say the same thing as Sophia. I love the best costume design category. I think it's just about perfect, really. That's the one, I think, below the line thing that I would keep all of the nominees for.
Yeah.
It's a good group.
It's a good group. I'm going to talk about original song here real quick.
Okay. This was one I was thinking about. I'm pretty sure I know what this is. Yeah.
Okay. So, one, Diane Warren, obviously Grateful. Gotta love it. One of those nominations that clearly nobody knows a single word to that song still 10 years later.
Okay, actually, without looking it up, can any of us name what this song is that Diane Warren is nominated for? Because I cannot.
I know it's for the one from Beyond the Lights.
I literally just said the title, I think, too.
You did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But do you guys know what I said?
Grateful.
You said Diane Warren, and honestly, I just blacked out.
Yeah.
They're always motivational poster titles.
Yeah, very much so. Just like what you see in a dentist's office.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Begin Again, just like okay, sure, like one of those. It was a John Crowley musical. The Glenn Campbell song too. It's like, okay, I don't remember any of these songs. I remember 2 things from this Oscar ceremony. One, obviously, everything is awesome being played. And
Oprah with her little Lego Oscar
and everything. I remember
beautiful.
She was so happy, obviously, just highlighting the fact that movie wasn't in the animated feature category, which was a big snub on the morning. But one of the great moments in Oscar history too, here with Glory and John Legend and Common, that song, beautiful. And we got the Chris Pine crying gif out of all of this. David Oyelowo crying gif out of all of this. It was the trend of let's get Chris Pine to cry at the Oscars. This is where it started. Just a kind of beautiful moment in the ceremony. A great win. One of the great wins, I think, of the decade in terms of original song. Original song could be really up or down. You know what I mean? It could be like, Sam Smith winning, or it could be like, real talented people winning. You know what I mean? So it gets a little murky. So to have a song like this and also feel like a little bit of like throwing a bone to the movie that got totally robbed a lot in many categories by the Academy. It was just a beautiful moment. And so I wanted to highlight that here and talk about that. I would not replace that song at all, because I think that the song's great, but the moment, you can't manufacture those moments. We talk about the Oscars always trying to, manufacture or come up with a way, like when they did the Encanto, we need to talk about Bruno thing, and it just felt so unorganic. But when you just nominate I'm Just Ken, you get to have that Oscar moment, and they get to be creative, and they get to have this moment, and it was fun. And this, on the other hand, was very beautiful and touching. So I just wanted to highlight Glory. Josh, were you thinking I was going a different route with that, or
I actually thought you were going to mention the song from Boyhood.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of songs from Boyhood.
But there's one specifically that was written by Ethan Hawke. Split the Difference.
Yeah, there was Split the Difference. There was also like, there was some Jeff Tweedy songs from that he did originally as well, but then put on a solo album, and there was a big sort of contention about that as well for the music of that movie. I think that the music is what makes that movie a lot as well too. It's the soundtrack of your life, essentially. And there's a lot of great music that fits and changes and evolves as the movie goes on, as Mason evolves too. So I remember that, and it's one of those where it's like, yeah, I could get angry about it, but also it's like that music had no shot against Glory. Like, Glory is just one of those things that's going to happen. And rightfully so. I wanted to ask you guys real quick, one trivia thing. This is how bleak though the box office year is, because this is a modern box office year, and I wanted to get you guys to guess the top 10 at the box office domestically for the year 2020 or 2014. Sorry.
Well, obviously Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's number one.
American
you said
Sniper.
Winter Soldier.
American
Winter
Sniper
Soldier.
is not there.
Did they count it for 2015?
Yeah, because a lot of that.
That's stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know it is.
Dumb.
I know.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That's number 3.
Maleficent.
Maleficent's number 6.
Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past is 7.
Is Transformers there?
Which one, Josh?
Is that Age of Extinction?
That is correct. That's number 5.
Good
Yeah.
job.
God.
I have no
I
idea what
kinda
that is.
I kind of secretly am in love.
You guys
with
are
that
missing
movie.
2, 4, 8, 9, and 10.
Okay.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
That's number 8.
Big Hero 6.
That's number 7. Oh, I'm sorry. That's number 9, but that's your 7th one. So you got 3 more. 2, 4, and 10.
2. I wonder what 2.
Oh, wait, no. The Hobbit still was in the top 10, wasn't it?
It was not. It was number 14.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Remember,
Good.
the Battle of
the
the Five
Lego
Armies.
movie.
The Lego movie is number 4. That is correct.
Yes.
So you're missing 2 and 10. And by the way, the Hobbit film, yeah, that just dropped off by the 3rd film. Like, nobody wanted to see that.
Oh my
So
God.
basically, these are either sequels or animated movies. Based
One
on
is
what
a.
we've guessed so
They
far.
are both sequels.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. It's very yeah. Or
Oh, wait, which was it? It was
IP. I think Dan
Hunger
knows.
Games, one of the Mockingjays. I can't remember if it was part 1 or part 2. Though.
I think it's
okay.
part 1.
It was a part 1.
Part
Yeah.
1 is number 2. Yes.
Okay.
$313 million at the domestic box office.
What an impression it has left.
Yeah. Wow.
Number 10,
Um.
I will say this, killed a franchise. for a while.
Oh, is this The Amazing Spider-Man 2?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Terrible
Told you.
movie.
Told you.
I'm sorry.
Kill the franchise.
This is my little mini rant. We need to stop pretending like the Amazing Spider-Man movies are good just because we like Andrew Garfield. Like, those are terrible films.
No,
yeah, they were never good.
They were never good.
They're bad. We all like Andrew Garfield, and he did okay in the last Spider-Man movie.
He looks good in the suit.
Films are awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first one, Josh, is fine. It's fine.
I think it's still bad.
Fine. I'm not saying good.
One is still bad.
No, it's fine. But I think the second one is one of the worst comic book movies I've ever seen in my life. Like,
I think they're
up.
both bad. Just the second one is worse.
That's fair. 11 was Godzilla. 12 was 22 Jump Street. 13 was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Sophia never watched that movie. The Michael Bay one. Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, Interstellar, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Gone Girl, Divergent, Neighbors, and Frozen. Because Frozen made a lot of its money in December or January and February. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm just telling you like it is.
Because
so
if you include an
American,
I think if you include an American Sniper on this list, I'm pretty sure it is actually number 1 at the domestic box office.
Well, no, wait. Frozen's from the year before, right?
Right. So
it's the opposite of American Sniper. Like, it's weird. Yeah.
I understand they're just counting what you made in 2014, but if you're talking about 2014 movies, like, American Sniper, I believe, actually is the highest grossing domestic film of the year.
Yeah, like if you take, I think like American Sniper,
it would be 350. That's crazy.
Which is crazy.
That is insane.
And that's what got everybody on the jury this past year, right?
Okay, we also don't need to talk about it because I liked that movie. And I don't want to get into an argument right now.
I don't think it's bad, Josh. I don't think there's a lot there, sadly. But it's okay. All right. Let's play the game. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Right. Should have got a game. For anybody that has not listened to an Oscar retrospective this year, the Should Have Got a Game has changed. We do this as a team. We have the Oscar nominees on the above the line categories. I can't even speak today. And we go through the nominees. We have up to 2 replacements. And we replace those 2. We have to keep 3. And then we can decide on a new winner. For a best picture this year, it is a sliding scale. The team has decided that we will replace up to 4 films in the best picture category and then have a new winner reign supreme. So battle lines will be drawn, films will be kicked out, and we might have some new winners here today. We're going to start like we mostly do, the best adapted screenplay. Josh's favorite movie of all time is the winner here, The Imitation Game.
Jeez.
We have American Sniper. That is Sophia's favorite movie of all time.
Oh, God.
Inherent Vice. Dan Bayer's favorite movie, The Theory of Everything, is nominated. And
that one actually is. So
and Whiplash.
Dan actually likes that movie.
Yeah. And Whiplash. So Imitation Game, American Sniper, Inherent Vice, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. Those are our nominees. All right, folks. We have to kick out 2 here. I think this might be very easy, but let's go on ahead. Let's do it.
I want to say that I just want to Whiplash is original.
Yes,
it's original and should not be here.
Yes, correct.
I know.
Can we
That's
start
a hard
with that?
thing.
It's the best one out of these nominees, probably. But
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that
category.
I wouldn't go that far.
It's certainly better than the winner.
That is correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, we're getting back to agreeing here for a second. There you go.
Can we? Yeah, what do we want to do with Whiplash?
Well, I'm not kicking it out to then put it over in the other place. I'm leaving it where it's at because I've got bigger fish to fry in this category.
Yeah,
me too.
So my feeling as well.
Yeah.
Per the game, they've. I agree with Dan. They fucked themselves here. It's bullshit, but this is bullshit that I'm fine with. It's still got.
You just got to accept it.
Yeah, I'll accept this bullshit.
But I
think
agree.
that's
It
fine.
is not an adapted screenplay because it's not even a situation where they made the short film and
Well,
expanded it. Like
Yeah, no,
he
yeah.
had an original screenplay and he just shot one scene from it
Yeah.
Yeah.
for like proof of concept to get financing for the
Yeah.
feature. But there was nothing to adapt from the short film.
But did
just
he
shot one
release?
scene
Did
from
he
the-
release
So wild to
the?
me.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he like release at least that proof of concept to like festivals and stuff?
Yeah, I
And
think it played at
Yeah.
Sundance.
so that's probably why it
That's
got
why.
it.
That's
That's
the
the
reason
technicality.
why.
Okay.
But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it was not
It's dumb.
adapted from the short
Yeah.
film.
I get you. I get
Yeah.
you. It was the other way around. No. That's fair. Okay. So Whiplash is safe. So
Yeah,
we're
that's
safe.
fine.
I only feel personally married to two here, Whiplash staying and then Inherent Vice staying, just because it is, I think, a really interesting adaptation. It stays very close to the tone of the book. The other three, I whatever, how do you guys feel? Because I'm good with cutting Theory of Everything, Imitation Game, American Sniper.
I see. I think the easiest one we're all going to be able to cut is American Sniper.
Yeah,
Like
I
that
would definitely
is
get rid of that one.
that
The
is
easiest
a
one to cut is the Imitation Game. Oh God,
That was my first cut. Was the Imitation Game.
Oh,
see. My first cut would actually be The Theory of Everything. I think The Theory of Everything is one of the worst films in the last 20 years nominated by the Academy. I think that it has two performances that are god awful. I think the screenplay plays off more like a thriller than actual a drama and a biopic about these two people. And it's a very nastily toned film all around. I think that whoever financed this movie should be fired from Hollywood. The thing about The Imitation Game is, while I don't think it's a great screenplay either, it is very carbon copy BBC Sunday afternoon sort of movie. It may be factually inaccurate. Graham Moore's win is atrocious win. And we will rectify that win here very, very soon. But I don't think it is as bad as the writing in Theory of Everything. And I think American Sniper is also an atrocious screenplay. It is only elevated by the fact that it made a fuck ton of money. That's the only reason this movie exists in the Oscars is because it made money. And
the
so
American Sniper's screenplay is just like it's pap and it's pandering, and that's bad. But there is not one piece of dialogue in The Theory of Anything that even approaches the level of incompetence of sometimes it's the very people who no one imagines anything of who do the things that no one can imagine. The most tortured wannabe catchphrase I have ever heard in my life.
wait,
And it means goddamn nothing. And the only reason that the movie gets away with that is because out of Keira Knightley's mouth, anything sounds like poetry.
that's fair.
Mhm.
And I think, Dan, that's why I like Imitation Game more than Theory of Everything, is I like Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley more than Eddie Redmayne and the god-awful Felicity Jones. My favorite movie of this year is The Brutalist, and she is
Sorry.
god-awful in that movie. Stop giving her jobs.
God.
Ugh.
I will hear nothing negative against her in this movie, but that is just because of personal shit that I happen to be dealing with around the same time that this movie came
That's
out.
fair. That's fair.
So that is totally, I will fully admit, like, in the tank for this movie, because when I say it spoke to me personally, it really spoke to me personally, which The Imitation Game should have, but couldn't, because, well, I mean, look at who wrote it. Look at the closet case who fucking wrote it.
I think that that's the other thing too, is like we wouldn't really give a shit as much about The Imitation Game if it was just a nominee, but it is the winner now. And it's one of those cases where it's a bad speech, it's a bad win. And that's what its legacy is. But I think that Anthony McCartan is a criminal and has been for a long time. He's bad. He's bad at his job.
Were such a Stephen Hawking stan, Ryan.
So we're gonna cut American Sniper. We know this, right? We're gonna cut American Sniper.
I don't like them.
And then we go coin flip, Imitation Game, Theory of Everything for the second spot.
Yeah. What I would say is that actually between the two, I would be more in favor of cutting the Theory of Everything, but I also don't feel as strongly about that decision, I think, as much as Dan does. Mm-hmm. So if we also want to get rid of the Imitation Game, I'm fine with that too.
I don't feel strongly about like this category between these two movies. Like both don't work for me.
No, we will be getting rid of them elsewhere. You know what I mean? So
yeah, of course. But here I'm just like, let's cut American Sniper. That's where I feel most.
Look at us being patriotic and diplomatic there and cutting.
And I'm a Bradley Cooper fan. We will get there, but
we'll get there.
Oh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's gonna be the other thing later. We're gonna have to talk about these three films again in that category specifically. I mean, if we want to keep Theory of Everything, that's fine. I'm willing to accept that. I do understand that the weight of that win is bad, but man, with Graham Moore just putting the wool over all of our eyes. Yeah,
that screenplay is so fucking offensive. I'm sorry.
I mean, if we had three, if we could do three, which we're not doing three, these would easily be the ones that are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll keep Theory of Everything. It ain't winning. So we can just move on.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Ryan, your check is in the mail.
I'm going to remember that for later. You're just going to hold that card. So Inherent Vice, Theory of Everything, Whiplash. What do we want to put in this category alongside these other three films? Well, obviously Gone Girl.
Yeah, that's
the obvious one.
Okay. Yeah. So we just check that box and move on. Like, okay. Real quick, what the fuck were they thinking? Like all year long, it just like it was clear. Like this is the winner. Like what are we doing? And then they didn't nominate it. Like it looks bad.
Such a bad winner. It's one of the all-time bad screenplay category wins, and especially like with Gone Girl, that book was such a phenomenon, and the fact that Fincher was coming in to direct and Gillian Flynn wrote the screenplay. Right,
she wrote the book.
She wrote the author of the book coming in, and I think their partnership just works so well together. So it's just a shame that they just went with it's that late surge American Sniper thing that just really plagued these Oscars in the worst way.
I think that's what did it. And I also kind of feel like maybe with that writer's branch that they looked at the source material and kind of felt like it was still kind of cheap airport fiction.
Yeah. That's definitely in there too. I just think that
also let's not forget the Weinstein of it all.
Yeah.
On the Theory of the Imitation Games side.
Yeah. What was it? Honor the Man, Honor the Film.
Yeah. That's what I remember more than anything else. Yeah, because that man really wanted
horrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. Okay,
bad.
So that's
the
one.
Fact that neither Gone Girl nor Wild made it into this category is just so sexist.
Well, that's the other one, right? Because that was a huge best-selling.
Yeah, such a big book. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if I would put Wild in, but I'm just
stories about women.
Well, this was part of that long run that we had from Diablo Cody to Emerald Fennell of women not winning any sort of screenplay category, both in adapted and original. And so this is that part of that. This is why people got mad, and we're going to talk about 2019 in a couple of weeks about why the Little Women loss for Greta Gerwig hurt there for so many people. Why, there's so many female writers that were just ignored or overlooked or not even nominated. And at a certain point, it just kind of sticks out. It's a very glaring omissions, especially for someone like Flynn, who had won or had been nominated for critics prizes, for industry prizes. Like, didn't she get nominated at the Globe too? And
she got a WGA.
She got
nomination.
WGA. She got a Critics' Choice win, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, she was a part of the season. I think, Sophia, your point is absolutely correct about American Sniper, and just kind of swooping in, because outside of Rosamund Pike's performance, they didn't really go for Gone Girl here, which is stupid. And it goes back to even Josh's point of, like, is he just elevating airport novel material? And clearly he's making one of his, once again, one of his better films of his career. So
it's like Dragon Tattoo, same deal
exactly,
with him of airport material, elevating
and that was Steven
making
Zalian,
Yeah.
very well respected.
Exactly.
And even they didn't do it.
Nope. All right. What do we want to put in this other spot?
So I have a very specific thing that I want to throw out here, and I don't, I'm going to assume that only Josh even knows this movie, but there is a Brazilian film called The Way He Looks that actually was adapted from a prior short film that I absolutely adore.
Okay.
It's about a blind boy in Brazil who befriends, and romance blossoms between him and another young boy when he moves to a new city or something like that. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't remember all the details, but that movie is so wonderful and delicate and lovely, and that would be my only other suggestion for this category besides the ones that we've talked about.
I would like
very
to
sweet movie. Yeah.
I would like to throw up a film. Throw up a film. Throw out.
Vomit it
Sorry.
up, Ryan. Go right ahead.
I really didn't like that suggestion.
One of this was kind of the beginning of Cruise and McQuarrie working together. Edge of Tomorrow, also adapted from All You Need Is Kill. A really great action film that is with a premise that we've seen obviously in many films, but that screenplay is really well put together and adapted from a manga. And I think that Jez Butterworth and John Henry Butterworth, but really it is McQuarrie who brings this all together, obviously. And we know what McQuarrie has done with Cruise in the Mission films and other films as well. But this is one of the best films of 2014, in my opinion. One of the best action movies of the 2010s. And it's great. It's a great movie. So I would throw out Edge of Tomorrow as a contender.
Yeah. That was one I was thinking of. That movie was on my top 10 in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a very clever screenplay. It was one I was considering. The other one that I was considering is also adapted from a short film, and it is Obvious Child. Which I really
love
like.
Obvious Child.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, I thought it was so smart and clever. It was funny, but also had very interesting things to say about that topic. And yeah, I just fell in love with that film. So, and it was actually my personal winner for adapted screenplay that year.
Okay.
So I do love that pick.
Sophia,
me too.
Do you have one to throw out?
My biggest one was Gone Girl. And then I was just going to see if anyone was passionate about any others. But I would say, like, of what we've talked about, I would throw a vote behind Obvious Child because I do love that movie and think the screenplay is really smart.
Honestly, same.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Wait. I just double checked this because I needed to check. The Babadook is technically based on a short film as well. That is not an original screenplay.
I do love The Babadook.
I do love
in other places later.
And I have to say that would be I would pick that over Obvious Child, I think, because I think The Babadook is one of the best movies of the year, like bar none.
Yeah, I would go Babadook. Would you guys go Babadook?
I mean, I would personally still stick with Obvious Child.
Okay.
I think that the Babadook is stronger in its direction than its screenplay, personally.
Sure.
I think its writing gets a little bit obvious in terms of its metaphors, and actually think it's a little tiresome towards the end, personally. But that's just how I feel.
I just haven't seen Obvious Child in such a long time. Don't remember a lot about it. That's my thing.
It was one of my favorite ones I remember seeing back then, and a big part of it I think was the writing and the characters and just what she experienced in it. And I think a lot of that is from the writing. It feels like a very typical kind of like screenplay nomination in that way, I think. But I do love the Babadook too, but I agree that I think I would lean towards nominating it in performance or for direction over writing.
Edge of Tomorrow, guys? Cut it in
Not for me, I'm sorry.
You haven't seen it?
I don't really like it that much, but that's okay.
What?
Sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Jesus. It's a great
video game to me.
No, it's not. It's so much better than that.
Just send the Full Metal bitch after her.
I'm just saying. It's one of Emily Blunt's best performances. Cruise is fantastic in there.
I'll try it again.
It really also
came to Emily Blunt.
That movie is built, I think, a lot off of the back of its screenplay more than Doug Liman's direction. Because Doug Liman is a I mean, like he is a plug and pull sort of, like you can just plug him in there or whatever. Like that screenplay, if it's not good, because I mean we've seen the sort of Groundhog Day. I mean, what are those Happy Death Days or whatever? Like those movies that are not very good.
That sort of trope just doesn't really do it for me.
It doesn't work a lot, but it did here because, damn it, the screenplay is good and those actors are. I mean, it's Cruise and Blunt; they're great. So, but maybe it's also those performances too as well. I don't know. If we want to go Obvious Child, that's totally fine. I just don't remember that movie, and that's okay. But I'm
also okay with Babadook I would say I'm between those two.
Yeah, that's where I am too, honestly. And either one would be.
I'll go wherever. I'll go with that. It's fine. We got.
Well, I mean,
we got to plug it.
To me, it sounds like there is maybe just a little bit more support for the Babadook. So,
I feel like
that's fine.
Overall, I think but I don't know if necessarily here there is. I don't know.
I'm good either way.
I don't know if we're gonna get that movie in anywhere else. Actually, when I'm looking at the list,
which one?
The Babadook.
Really?
No.
Maybe. I don't know.
Good luck.
Just thinking out loud. So maybe we just put it in here. I think that's fine.
I think it's fine. The Babadook.
I'm fine.
In here. At least get it a nom, guys.
Yeah.
We don't want a Matrix situation where we're not, we don't have it on the outs.
That was fine.
So we have Inherent Vice, Theory of Everything, Whiplash, The Babadook, and Gone Girl. I mean, I think come on.
For me, it's Gone Girl, like pretty easily. Because I think of when we think of adaptations and elevating that airport novel, the movie was a cultural phenomenon in the way that the book was. I mean, not quite, but it did really, really well. And people are still talking about it. People are still quoting it. And I think that the structure of that screenplay works really well, and how it balances Amy's diary entries and narrative with the present day and with Nick. I do think the movie, I mean, as much as I love it, it's my favorite 2014 movie still, just for, obvious reasons and loving it. But I do think it drags a little as we get into the part when she's she's on the run. But I just I do love the screenplay, and I would love to recognize Gillian Flynn here.
My one thing against that screenplay winning in adapted is that so much of that screenplay, so much of that dialogue is just straight from the novel. And it's like most of the best stuff like the cool girl monologue.
She
That
did
is
switch that up a
directly
bit
from the novel.
She did
There are some
change it a
things,
little,
absolutely.
but yeah.
But I think like for the most part, it was just sort of already there. And I do think that, like it's still an incredibly effective movie. And I think that like just she absolutely deserves props for making it creating a screenplay that moves through as much plot and character stuff as the book did in this amount of time and as entertainingly as it does. But for me, when it comes to like the win, I think like, yeah, this kind of does have like the best dialogue and story of anything in this category, but also like thinking about it in terms of degree of difficulty and what did she actually do, it seems like most of the best material was already there to begin with. So I'm like, for me, just in terms of like going for a win, I'm like, but then again, I look at this category and I'm like, well, what else would I award instead? And I don't really know. It's kind of dire.
Yeah.
I mean, degree of difficulty, it's PTA, but then that depends on the execution and how you feel about that and whether or not that was a successful adaptation of postmodern book. So that's, I think, where it's tricky.
Yeah, because I don't like that book. It's not for me, and therefore not a big fan of that movie either. So kind of by default, it is Gone Girl as the winner.
I would my vote doesn't matter because it's going to go to Gone Girl, but I would have voted for Inherent Vice. I think it is an extremely difficult novel to adaptate and to adapt, and I think that PTA is a master of writing, as we all know, and the movie has grown on me over the years, and I think I have a lot of credit to Director Watch and the series that we did last year. And I saw that movie twice last year, and it turned into a good old 5-star masterpiece for me on the second watch. And still one of the funniest movies and funny experiences that I had from 2014. I still say that, my wife did not like The Master, loves this movie, and got it immediately. It took me a longer time than she did to get it and understand it and admire it and love it. There's a sense of dread by the end of that movie that carries over into a movie like Licorice Pizza, that carries over in just probably about a lot of his movies that are set in that area of the world. And his next film may or may not be another adaptation of this material from Pynchon. So we shall see. I think PTA can do no wrong, and I don't care about my bias. And
I mean, I have it too. I get it. My friends were so mad at me when we saw Inherent Vice because I was like, we need to go see this. And then they were just like, what did you make us do? Like, think again, like seniors in college, just like sitting there. We left. They were livid. They're like, you're never picking the movie again.
To be fair, we just
it's a perfect movie for seniors in college.
Right? I know. That's what I thought.
Yeah. I mean, like we saw Birdman the week before, and she just had a bad experience. And then the second week we saw Inherent Vice, and she's like, that's a real movie. And so I'll never forget that. But yeah, I would my second would be Gone Girl, because I think that beyond the adaptation and sort of the bias of the airport novel fluffiness that people think that book has, there also is this really sharp commentary about news consumption and how we with a reality show, sort of mentality that we have in culture, how obsessed we are with these people's in and outs of their lives beyond even after the aftermath of the incidents that have happened. A lot of the more interesting stuff in the film is in the second half of the movie. And yeah, she adapted her own work. Who gives a shit? It's really, when it's really good, it's really good. And you know who else told her to do it? David Fincher. There's so many people that Fincher could have got to adapt it, but he trusted her and worked off of this amazing script. And both of them, obviously we know Fincher goes in there and adds his own stuff to it as well. He's very sort of Altman like when it comes to that, because he's very meticulous. but he's also super 100% in the hands of the script. And I think that it's a really wonderful job. So Gone Girl's our winner. And I'm happy that it won. I'm happy that Imitation Game doesn't have that fucking Oscar anymore. So there we go.
That's why I quoted it at the beginning of the episode. I was sending subliminal messages.
Sophia, speaking of which, could you read the nominees for Best Original Screenplay?
I can. So our winner, we have Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, Boyhood, Foxcatcher, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Nightcrawler.
Actually, not a bad lineup.
Better than adapted.
Way better than adapted.
Way better than adapted.
I think I'd only kick one out, and that's the winner. So, yeah.
I would likely also only kick one out, but the one that I would kick out would make a lot of people very upset.
Is it Boyhood?
Yes.
You son of a bitch. You put it on the table.
It's not the one I expected you to say, Dan, actually. So
I just don't fully vibe with Foxcatcher as a movie all the time. But
interesting.
I think it's pretty incredibly written. Like, honestly, like
I'll take that.
Yeah.
We had an argument about Foxcatcher already. So
yes.
Okay.
For me, the only one I would cut is Birdman also. I think that I find the writing and the direction to be really tedious, and it just kind of wears off after you watch it once. So that's my least favorite in the category.
Josh, I wonder what you're going to kick out.
Yeah, I would not be advocating for Birdman to stay here. I would definitely say that one for sure.
Okay.
I was absolutely anticipating this, and I am totally okay with kicking it out of this competition for that title alone.
Thank you, Dan.
But
I
like this movie. I like this movie a lot, and I especially like the humor of the screenplay. It just speaks very much to my own sensibilities in terms of the cynicism and sarcasm of it.
I think, Dan, if it was like,
also has this pretentious streak a mile wide that when it shows up just does not. And that title is the worst example of it.
That is Iñárritu for you.
I think, Dan, if it was like a short, like in the shorts category, like 40, maybe like 30, 45 minutes, I think it would have been like one of the best shorts. Because like you cut down on so much. Like the first half of that movie is not bad for me. It's like Sophia says, it's the repetitiveness of that movie. And it's really not saying much other than, yeah, this is my only shot. And everybody tried to fuck me over for years. And I'm Michael Keaton, and I'm playing a guy that almost sounds like Michael Keaton. And I get that, and that's great. And it's also kind of feels weird 10 years later because he's technically went back and played Batman again. And it's a very weird movie now in the existence of time.
Too.
And Beetlejuice, like he's going back to his nostalgic roots. Like he'll be in Mr. Mom 2 by this time next year. It's going to be really weird, you know?
Multiplicity too. Okay. The people.
That's what we need. Yes.
Yeah. There you go. But, okay. So are we only cutting one?
I mean, I'll be honest, like I am not as invested in this category as other people are, but Birdman is the only one I have passion to cut.
I would say if I had a second cut, it would be Nightcrawler.
No.
Yeah. I'm not as high on Nightcrawler.
Spicy.
I'm not either, but it has grown on me throughout
outside of Jake's performance. I'm really not the biggest. Like, I'm more of a Tony Gilroy guy myself than a Dan Gilroy.
You don't have a touch of melancholy?
I don't got any melancholy in
the one
me.
who knows how to pronounce that word.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to.
No,
it's the best video
Thank
ever.
you. That was not the first time
Dun, dun,
today. Jake's just like, it was not the first time today. That plays in my head all the time.
It's so good.
So good. And you could see the build up to it. Like they knew he was going to say it. Is he going to say it? He's going to say it again. He's going to say it melancholy. So, but yeah, I would, but we don't have to cut it. I'm just saying, like, if I had a cut, that's what I would do. But I feel like everybody might have a different cut, and that's fine.
That's what I kind of feel like.
I think we just keep those 4. We cut Birdman, and we figure out what the hell we want to put in to this original screenplay category for the 5th spot. Sound good?
Yeah,
okay.
That works for me.
All right. So what do we put in?
I am going to go all in and say Pride is one of my favorite movies of this whole decade. There is not a line of dialogue in any movie this year that is better than "Where are my lesbians?" And that movie is so delightful and so meaningful. It is the best of what British cinema can possibly do in just about every way. And it's a glowing screenplay.
Okay. Pride. What up, Josh?
Well, I have 2 that came to mind. One is, speaking of brother filmmakers, Calvary, from the other McDonough. I really like that movie, and actually, I kind of feel like he's better than Martin. I think he has more interesting things to say in his films. And Calvary, I think, definitely is
Shots
in
fired.
I find it to be the truth.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it's in the same kind of vein as the movies that you kind of see with Martin McDonough, but I find it to be so interesting with really great characters, and the thematic commentary is really engaging to me. So that's one. And then the other one I really like is Love is Strange, the Ira Sachs film. That I just think is so...
I was hoping you'd bring that up, Josh.
Yeah, actually, I thought you were going to mention it, Dan. So, yeah, but it's just so lovely and sweet and more complicated than you would think it would be given that premise. And I really, really enjoyed it. So those are the 2 that I really like in this category.
Sophia?
I really like Ida, the Pavel Pawlikowski film as well, and wanted to bring that up for screenplay because I think it's just a really well-written, beautiful screenplay, and it is original as well. Other than that, I would also throw out a movie that I know gets like mixed or has mixed responses, but I also love A Most Violent Year.
Good one, yeah.
That will be showing up a bit later in some categories that we talk about for me. So yeah,
I'm not super passionate about it getting in here for screenplay, but I just wanted to throw it out now.
Maybe I am. I love A Most Violent Year. Chandler is a great screenwriter and has been for such a long time. I'm excited to see his next project after Craven the Hunter.
Look, I'm seeing Craven the Hunter.
We're all seeing that for reasons, and we all know what those reasons
need to see it. Yeah.
His name is Aaron Taylor Johnson. All right, and
honestly, also Alessandro Nivola. Like, let's be real.
Dude is like in every movie this year.
I know
he's great in The Brutalist.
Dude is like getting work.
Yeah,
good for him. Like he is. Is he like the bad guy in that movie?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, damn, he's like everything. He's technically the bad guy in The Room Next Door.
Give me more.
Give me more. That's right.
He's not very nice at The Brutalist either.
No, he's not.
He just pretends to be for a while. Yeah.
He's great. He's great in that movie, though.
Yeah,
he's great. Yeah, he's kind of like consistently great in everything.
He leaves too soon in The Brutalist.
Yeah, I wanted him to come. I wanted him to come back a little bit more. Yeah, A Most Violent Year would be what I would consider here. I'm surprised nobody said The Judge. Just I know that you guys are. Dan, I'm kidding. It's called humor.
What are you talking about? I'm going to stick up for it in a few categories. So you can't wait.
Best shower scene, The Judge.
I have actually still not seen The Judge. It is the most recent Oscar-nominated performance that I have yet to see. And the reason is because when it first came out, I was like, "This looks bad. I'm not going to see it." And then it got Oscar buzz. But by the time it did, it was out of theaters.
Josh, what are we doing? What are we doing here if we're not preparing for a week? We had months to prepare. Could have knocked this off, man.
This is incredible.
I
At
actually
this
like
point, you could not pay Josh to watch the judge.
I would pay Josh to do a commentary on the judge with me. This is going to happen.
It's like 10 years on. This will forever be the most recent Oscar-nominated performance I've never seen.
It doesn't eat at you just a little bit.
No, not even a little bit.
It's Robert Duvall. Fine. Show Duvall
I'm living
some
a
respect.
very happy life, having never seen the judge, and I think that will.
You know what? I bet you Robert Duvall hasn't seen the judge, so that's fair. That's fair.
Probably not.
I don't know. I don't really know anything. I mean, like, I wouldn't nominate Interstellar here.
No.
And this is not the place I would nominate the film, even though
no comment.
Even though, to be fair, if somebody did want to throw it out, Josh, I would go behind. I would help. I'm not going to say no to it.
Look, I love that movie, but I'm willing to admit
it's a silly screen. It's silly.
It is. I respond more so to the ideas and emotion of that story. I still find that to be a worthy element of it, but I'm not going to fight that battle right now. I know which ones to pick, and I'm not going to plant my flag for that.
We're talking about corn, baby.
You could easily win.
Yeah.
You could easily get it in. You have the numbers.
Yeah. Hi, Josh.
David and I'll just be like, okay.
How you doing over here, Josh? Doing good?
I mean,
doing good, buddy?
The only reason I didn't throw it out is because I didn't think there would be any support for it, but
listen,
I do.
Josh, you know I love that movie. Come on. How would I not love that movie? I cry all the time. Sophia and I were texting this week. I was like, I think I'm gonna watch Interstellar again. Of all the movies to rewatch this week,
I'm gonna go for the re-release.
Yeah.
In a few weeks.
Oh yeah.
Same here. I'm going to that IMAX. Truly,
my eye on the Indianapolis IMAX because I want to go back down there to see it.
Truly, one of the great IMAX experiences I've ever had. 70 millimeter, hearing Zimmer score. It's one of those theater experiences you don't forget. Where's everybody at with It Follows?
Oh, I like
Did
that
count for this year?
I think
was that 2015? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Every time I look on
I think it
IMDb, I always get screwed over by IMDb here.
I'm slightly shocked that no one here mentioned the Lego movie in this category.
Well, would that be in this category or would that be an adapted because of the whole Barbie thing now? This is the Barbie thing.
I think under Barbie rules that feels like it's adapted.
But they're not character. They're not.
They are. They literally have Lego Batman and Lego Superman in the.
Okay, fine.
Thing,
Lego Batman and Superman, but they're not the.
I get what you're saying.
The characters who it's about, they're not established. Barbie has a persona, but Lego guy is not really a.
Yeah, but Lego is the thing. It's based off of.
Yeah, I think
it's based on playing
Lego.
with Legos, which is kind of weird.
If Whiplash is adapted, though, they probably would have considered it adapted.
Thank you, Sophia.
That is just flat out wrong. Even
we forgot about that in the fucking rules for this and screwed over probably Lego movie and adapted screenplay.
I completely believe that the only reason that Whiplash was considered adapted is that someone at the Academy completely misunderstood and they just didn't want to walk it
clerical
back.
error.
An intern got the wrong coffee for someone and
well, it had a short film. Under their usual rules, if you have a short film before the movie, you're adapted. It's just they still got it wrong. But yeah, I kind of feel like under their rules, Lego movie would be adapted though.
All right, I'm willing to go most violent.
Know.
I'm willing to go most violent year. That's for my.
I mean, I do love that movie. It wasn't one of my first choices, but I do like that screenplay.
I like that movie. If I was choosing, of the ones we mentioned, I actually prefer Ida over a most violent.
Ida's good too. Ida's good too. Well, I mean, Sophia mentioned both of those. It's technically the vote lies to her.
Oh, gosh, I would say
yeah, I know, right? Balls in your court.
I mean, is it really me? Is it on me to decide?
I mean, Josh, Ida or my most violent.
I mean, I lean towards the most violent year between the two, but they're both good.
Okay, Sophia,
and Ryan, you're a most violent year.
Yeah, I think so. I would put Ida more in a directorial performance.
Directorial, actress,
cinematography.
Absolutely.
That cinematography nomination is incredible.
Yeah,
one of the best cinematography.
But I do think, though, with
yeah.
his films, I underrate the writing of those movies, probably because the visuals are so damn beautiful.
That movie is specifically so well written. The story, everything.
Yeah.
I say we go with it.
Yeah, I prefer A Most Violent Year, but I also think Ida's the cooler nomination to have here.
Yeah. And we'll get A Most Violent Year in later.
Yeah, we have more.
We will.
Nowhere.
How disrespectful the Academy was to this movie.
Yeah, maybe the very next category we're going to talk about in a minute. So.
All right, so we have Ida.
You're talking too much, you guys. Wow.
Yeah,
you're an original screenplay.
I know. We gotta start moving. We gotta start moving. Guys.
Tough category.
The adapted screenplay was way too long. Anyway, we're talking about how long we are while we're talking about how long we are.
Yeah.
So Ida, Boyhood, Foxcatcher, Grand Budapest Hotel, Nightcrawler. Those are our picks. Where are we going? I mean, I'll start.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go to the Grand Budapest Hotel. Like, in terms of a screenplay, it's fantastic. And he should have won. This should have been his first Oscar. I think it's the best written. It's super funny. It's beautiful. This ensemble's fantastic. And they're given some of their best work of their career based off of the screenplay. And yeah. And it's surprisingly very moving work as well. And that's the thing about Wes Anderson. I love Wes Anderson. Don't get me wrong. But his movies at times are not as emotional as I think other directors. And so when he makes movies that are very emotional by the end, like this, or Royal Tenenbaums, or Asteroid City, that's when he shines the most in his writing. So I would go Grand Budapest Hotel.
I'd also go Grand Budapest Hotel. That was my vote too. It'd be my vote of the nominees in the category. And then even with our addition, I think the writing is just really smart. I love the characters. And I think that the emotion just creeps up on you at the end, which I think is what the best Wes Anderson movies do and why I like him so much as a filmmaker and why I like so many of his scripts. And this is one of my favorites in his filmography.
Like top 4 for me.
I'm trying to think. Fantastic Mr. Fox is still my favorite.
Tenenbaums for me. I'm a Tenenbaums guy through and through. Josh?
I am a little cooler on Grand Budapest. I like the first half of that movie. The second half kind of loses me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. So it doesn't get my vote, even though I kind of feel like it's going to be our winner, which is fine. I totally understand that. My personal pick would be for Foxcatcher, just because I do love that movie and I love the themes that film is exploring. And I think one of the most underrated elements about a screenplay is not just, the dialogue. It's actually just about the story and the characters that you are creating, the themes that you are exploring. And I think that is very apparent in the Foxcatcher screenplay. And it's an underrated element, which I personally do respond to, but I kind of feel like Grand Budapest is going to win. I'm fine with that, but my personal pick would be for Foxcatcher.
Gotcha. Dan.
Hey, look, Wes is usually my guy. Grand Budapest is not one of my favorites of his. I think it gets I think the screenplay just gets too much away from him in the end. But I'm not going to complain that he wins this at all, because he should have more than the one Oscar that he does right now, and he should absolutely have one for screenplay. I'm just more of a Moonrise Kingdom guy than Grand Budapest. My vote in this category would actually be for Nightcrawler. I love how dark and twisted and cynical that movie is, and I think that out of all of these, it has it's the concept, I think, that I responded to most. Like, the idea of the story is the one that I like the most out of this category. So that's why that would be mine. Although, like, now that we have Ida in this category, that's also very tempting.
Yeah. It's a great nomination.
It's a great nom. Well, Wes Anderson, you have 2 Oscars now.
It is crazy he just has the short. It's just like, it's so weird,
Truly.
right?
He'll win another.
Yeah.
He'll win another. There's no question.
Fucking better.
Well, let's work on PTA getting one also at the same time as well too. Let's work on both of them getting like in categories where they're, their usual categories.
I've given up hope. I need to be fully convinced on that.
It'll happen.
PTA.
Sane has 11 nominations, so clearly they do like him. So
No, they clearly love him.
Yeah, well,
They want him at a party.
Or they
let's not talk about
loved
this too much.
him.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten many nominations in the recent years.
That's not true.
Wait, are we talking about Wes
Phantom
or Paul?
Thread did very well.
Okay,
Paul.
forget Paul.
Yeah,
Never
Paul.
mind.
Yeah, Paul
Oh.
is. Yeah, but Wes,
Wes
you're right.
has fallen
Wes,
off
you're
in the
right. He's
category.
fallen off.
Yeah.
But he's also doing some of his best work.
Yeah, which is why I don't
Why you can-
understand.
Which but also like
Josh is like, "Are you sure?"
to win on a technicality last year after Asteroid City and those shorts and everything. I just equated to like he won for everything he did last year, and that's okay. That's okay too.
also
I
his
don't think
worst
that.
short one. So
Yeah, no, the worst short
Nice.
won. Yeah, but isn't that always the case, right, Josh?
yeah.
Okay, Josh, could you read the nominees for Best Supporting Actor for us, please?
Yes. So best supporting actor, we have J.K. Simmons for Whiplash, who was our winner. Robert Duvall for The Judge, Ethan Hawke for Boyhood, Edward Norton for Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, and Mark Ruffalo for Foxcatcher.
Josh's favorite film, The Judge,
Yeah.
clearly nominated here. He has to abstain from
That's
that
a
performance.
fake movie. It does not exist.
Yeah, no.
Okay, Robert Duvall, love you. Bye.
Bye
Yeah,
bye.
And honestly, he's the only one that I would get rid of. I actually really do like the other four performances in this category.
Not
Agreed.
true. I'm getting rid of a Hulk.
Ooh,
Oh,
no, I
no.
love him.
Oh,
in
no,
Foxcatcher
I-
as well.
He is one of
no.
the better ones in
I
this
like
category. Like
him.
almost
Yeah,
my
yeah.
winner. Yeah.
Yeah,
Guys.
no, he is great in Foxcatcher.
Guys,
He's really
guys,
good.
guys,
Mhm.
I'm getting rid of Edward Norton. He was a Hulk too.
See, this is too much
Still
for me.
would not get rid of him. No.
Too much of a test. I don't know
Yeah.
enough about the Hulks. or-
Sophia, Edward Norton was the Hulk
Yeah.
in the Incredible Hulk in the
For Ang
MCU. No,
He was the
not
first
for
one.
Ang
Not that
Lee.
one. No, that was
MCU.
Eric Bana.
That was Eric
Forget it.
Bana.
Yeah.
In the MCU, they got rid of him and replaced him with Ruffalo.
Okay.
They got rid of him
So-
/ he walked.
He
because
quit. He
had
quit.
that.
Yeah, he
she was
quit.
like,
I mean,
fuck you.
If we got rid of another one other than Duvall, Norton would be next up for me.
Mhm.
But I'm also okay keeping
keeping him?
four
Okay.
and just getting rid of
Yeah.
Duvall.
Okay.
I really like Edward Norton in Birdman.
Yeah,
Like I have my issues with that movie, but I actually do think he's very fun in that role.
I'm glad for you.
The way that he plays off of his established persona as a performer and person in the world is pretty good in that role, I gotta say. Like,
This was the
it's
Glow
fun.
5.
Yeah, I'm fine keeping him. I think
It's
he's
just-
If
good.
I was gonna get rid of anyone in this, just based on like how much I like their performance, it would weirdly be J.K. Simmons.
Okay. Whew, that was-
He's actually my number 4 in the category,
Yeah,
to
like-
be honest. And he's still very good.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing.
I'm not as much all in on that performance as other people are.
This was the SAG 5 and Golden Globe 5. This was
Yeah,
pretty
this was
much
just the 5 that they.
This was just the
This
five
was
all
the
year.
established 5.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 Just pointing that out for context for the listeners, guys.
Mhm.
That's all. Okay. Sorry, Robert Duvall. Jesus Christ.
Good job.
I
Robert
still-
Duvall
movie
doesn't
I
look
have
like he's
seen.
nominated for this movie.
I love Duvall, but god damn it, that's a bad performance. It's a bad movie in general.
I'll take your word for it.
We're gonna watch it next week. It's gonna be great. So who are we replacing with? I'm sure everybody's got a list.
It's too
You know-
long of a list, but
Yeah.
This is a problem. Here we go. We'll start throwing out names.
Josh Brolin for Inherent Vice.
Thank you. The way he eats that banana.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Exactly. He steals the show for me. He gives my favorite performance in the movie. So I'll throw his name out.
I love Josh Brolin just in general, but him in that
Mhm.
movie, he's fantastic. Josh?
I would throw out Riz Ahmed in Nightcrawler.
Yes,
You're gonna
definitely.
do that, and he's deserving.
Yeah, well, obviously, I was going to mention Riz Ahmed.
Riz Ahmed? No,
I know it's very shocking for me, but he's so good in that film.
Oh, he's great. Yeah,
he's good. He's very good. Maybe a little much. I don't know.
Well, the character is a
little much. Like it's
you're gonna say a little much, and then tell me that you want Jake Gyllenhaal in the category. Come on.
Did I say I want Jake Gyllenhaal in the category?
Oh, we're not doing that. We're not.
Did I say I want Jake Gyllenhaal? I don't know. Let's play the tape back.
No.
I said nothing about Jake Gyllenhaal yet. I just said he's very good in the movie.
Okay.
I prefer Jake's performance in the film over the screenplay.
Okay.
Now, if we're talking about supporting actress here in a minute, we can talk about another performance in Nightcrawler that I really
we'll keep throwing out names for this category that we're on.
Thank you.
Now.
Who else?
I will throw out Adam Pearson for Under the Skin.
He also on my list.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good one.
I'm glad Under the Skin has come up. I know I have an ally.
I would like to throw out Tyler Perry for Gone Girl.
I love that performance.
Okay. Let's not get too
Tyler Perry's
far
wonderful in that movie.
Ourselves here.
He's fantastic in it. I would prefer him over someone like Neil Patrick Harris, who I think is wildly miscast in that film. As much as I like that movie, I think he's the weak link in there. But Perry's very good in that movie. It's wonderful.
There's a lot of great casting in that movie.
Yeah. Purposeful casting, I would say.
Yep.
I will also throw out, and I'm going to completely bastardize his last name.
Hell yeah.
But Timur Megomedgadzev from 2 Days, One Night.
Okay.
He is the guy who's playing soccer that Marion Cotillard interrupts. And I think everyone in that movie is pretty good, but I think he's the most emotionally impactful supporting player in that movie. And his scene with her is one of the best scenes in that movie. And I love that movie a lot.
Okay. Oh, a lot of good choices, guys. A lot of good choices. I'm trying to figure out one. Do you guys have any more? Just quickly off the top of your head. Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, go Dan.
If there is anyone who should have been nominated for an Oscar for Into the Woods, it is the genius Chris Pine. Who is so freaking hysterical as Prince Charming in that movie. Feels fresh, it feels exciting, and it feels very, very hot in here whenever I think about him.
He was on my short list. I wanted to get the name right. I don't know what you guys think about motion capture performances and where they stand, but Toby Kebbell's work as Koba in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is phenomenal work, and is really the emotional core, not just of this film, but then is really at the emotional core of then the next installment of the film, and his actions then have massive ramifications, and I think he is incredible in the film, and outduels Andy Serkis, who we all know is wonderful in those movies. But Kebbell's performance as Koba, there is just this immense amount of distrust and hurt behind that character, and I think it's phenomenal work. And it's for me, I see that work in there beyond the obviously the computer generated graphics that have to go in there. You could not get that just based off of a computer. You have to have a human getting that performance. So I think he's wonderful in that movie. So that's who I would consider as well. Also with Josh Brolin, but also Benicio del Toro in Inherent Vice is hysterical. He's only in it for like 20 seconds, but again, it's just another one of those just miniature performances.
Martin Short and Inherent
Vice. I was going to say Martin Short was in it just a little bit more,
just a little bit more,
just a smidge,
yeah. Oh,
he was on my short list, but I figured it would be pushing it a little too far.
Well, okay. Question. This is another I guess a category question here. Is Steve Carell, does he qualify for supporting actor? Do you guys think he's supporting? Because I think that movie is Channing Tatum's movie. I have for years.
I do love Channing Tatum in it.
And I think Channing Tatum is phenomenal.
He is the lead in that movie.
Yeah.
He is.
So
yeah. Honestly, on my ballot, I had Steve Carell on my supporting actor lineup because I also found that Best Actor is actually like very competitive this year, and so it was an easy way to open up. But I also know that performance is divisive, and I didn't know how people would feel about it. It's the reason I didn't really throw it out. But like I said, he's on my ballot in supporting, but I know that not everybody is over the moon with what he does in that film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Although, Josh, because I was just thinking about this and I realized I don't remember if they ran one of Molina and Lithgow supporting for Love is Strange. I think it was Lithgow, but I don't remember.
I think Lithgow, was run supporting.
Because I mean, like, we can argue about whether or not
whether they should
lead, but wanted to make sure that we brought that up because they're both.
I think Lithgow was supporting
that movie. Yeah.
I would also like to throw out either Adrian Brody or F. Murray Abraham for the Grand Budapest Hotel, the two memorable supporting performances for me.
Mm-hmm.
Also Willem Dafoe, but I disqualify Willem Dafoe for what he does to the cat. So there you go.
Thank you.
That is fair.
I like F. Murray Abraham in that movie. It took me a very long time to come around on Adrian Brody. In fact, The Brutalist is the first time I have liked him in a very long time. So
I'm so happy to hear it, Josh.
Okay. Throw out a lot of names.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do we want to cut J.K. Simmons?
Wow.
Not to be chaotic.
We're really going to do it.
I'm just saying, if there are people we like more since we've thrown our names, or we can just pick one, and that's fine too.
I like certainly all the performances I named more than J.K. Simmons and some of the other ones too. But I would not have a problem with that. But I'll leave it up to the group.
I just know that I didn't think that we would be having this conversation about Whiplash, a movie that I don't think has aged particularly well.
No.
And that performance hasn't, especially on paper too.
Maybe we try to pick one first, and then
yeah.
But I would consider it. I would. Who do you guys think? Of the names that were mentioned, what was the one that was strongest, or you guys felt was good?
I feel like there is probably a strong contingent for Brolin.
He'd be my vote.
He's a lot of fun in that.
Yeah.
He'd be my first or second.
Doc,
too.
God, and he is surprisingly in it more and has more than just like the scene at eating pancakes or whatever. Like then when he knocks down that door and the late night calls to his house and shit. It's so
she's gone, man.
Oh, man.
It's a very 70s era performance too that also plays on his persona and previous roles that he's had. So
him and the
that'll be my vote.
The commercials.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a funny goddamn
banana.
performance.
It's just
him
Josh
eating
O'Connor,
him eating the weed, just like coming into the house, kicking down the door. Oh, good. Yeah. All right, let's do it. Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
For Inherent Vice.
And I'm good, honestly, just sticking with Brolin and keeping the 4. I'm fine with that.
That's fine.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have Josh Brolin, J.K. Simmons, Ethan Hawke, Edward Norton, and Mark Ruffalo. Dan? I'm sorry. It was your turn.
This is a very, very difficult one to pick a winner for me. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I hope this time I will go with Mark Ruffalo.
Wow.
Foxcatcher. I especially think that his physicality in that role is so good. It is a very unexpected performance from him, and he is really the dramatic center of that movie. And I think he's just phenomenal. I I also really, really love Ethan Hawke in Boyhood, like a lot, a lot. Like part of me thinks that's maybe his best performance that he's ever given, maybe, certainly outside of the Before trilogy. Um, but today I'm gonna say Ruffalo. Yeah.
There's a movie from 2018, but I agree. It's pretty close. Josh.
This is also difficult, but I think I'm actually going to agree with Dan and pick Ruffalo. And there's a particular moment when he's being interviewed for like that documentary that they're trying to put together, and they're trying to get him to say like these complimentary things about DuPont, and his process of trying to bring himself to say it, but just simply can't, is one of those moments I will always remember. And I think that he is just really brilliant in that film. And I also do really like Ethan Hawke in Boyhood, but I think just by a hair, I'm gonna pick Ruffalo.
Sophia.
It's not by a hair for me. It's by a little while, or long distance rather. I'm gonna go with Ethan Hawke for Boyhood. I love this performance so much, and the year this movie came out, I just remember being so sad that he wasn't winning in this category and that it just wasn't going to happen, that it was J.K. Simmons, and also that Patricia Arquette was the one getting all the love for the movie. Because Ethan Hawke, for me, he gives the best performance in the movie, and for me, it is my favorite of his career. There's just a warmth and a depth to the character, and he brings so much more to that character than what's on the page. And I just, watching it again as an adult a few months ago, I felt way more connected, which I think is natural to the writing and the performances of the adults and of the parents. And he was a big, big part of that. So I'm gonna go with Ethan Hawke. I'm sorry, guys, it's not an outright win for Ruffalo, even though I do like him a lot.
Well, we're going to have a very interesting conversation here in a couple seconds because I'm going with Ethan Hawke. I never understood the J.K. Simmons love.
I understood it. I just didn't.
I mean,
it's for his career. Like, let's be honest.
Sure, him doing all those
boisterous performance, like those always win.
Yeah, I get it. But I still didn't like it at the time, and I didn't also. And again, I also agree with Sophia. Arquette being the one who's also not the best written character in the film either. And it feels like the movie's at its best when it is with Mason and his dad having these moments of true growth. And it just, I rewatched the film earlier this year, was going to do a piece on it, and crumbled under the pressure of writing it because it is such a monumental film to write about. I mean, being a boy from South Texas whose parents are divorced and trying to navigate themselves to try to find who they are right before they go to college and go off to bigger and better things. It's really rough, and it's tough because then you're watching that at locations that you've seen your entire life and places that I've been and I've seen, and watching Hawke be so comfortable and also know the navigation of his career from the time he started recording this to to what led up to this, which is a couple of before movies in between, some, stuff happened to him personally and everything. And so him growing up essentially as well and bringing that into the character alongside what Linklater sort of used with like the Before trilogy, which is adapt a lot of their personal lives into these movies. And I think Hawke's character grows the most, weirdly enough, in the film. And that scene with him in the bar where his friend who had been like couch surfing earlier in the film is now playing at this very nice, I think it was at Stubbs Barbecue in Austin. And they're talking about future and where Mason's going to go. I think it's one of the best scenes, not just of that film, but of the year in 2014. And it's really beautiful stuff. And I think Hawke that was like his time, weirdly enough, to get an Oscar. I don't think that he's going to be one of those actors that comes back around like I think a J.K. Simmons could, because he's a character actor and he's going to get, he's in big performances or doing a lot more than
One of
Hawk.
the worst nominations in recent memory for being the Ricardos.
Exactly.
Let's
So
please not remind ourselves of that.
and then a point, point to that is that he gets nominated. Simmons gets nominated for something like that, and Hawk's not even considered for something like First Reformed. So it's like,
considered, not even considered. He was there all season.
What was he nominated for anything?
No.
That
is not.
Was he considered
contention right now? You just said not considered, like he was just.
He wasn't.
Over.
There was never going to happen, and it never did.
He showed up in a lot of places for people to
critics groups.
Happen,
critics groups don't count. I'm talking about like on award shows. I'm talking about like in the room where I could see him on TV. Didn't happen the way it did for this movie. So that's why I would give it to Hawk. It felt like the moment for this movie. And also, if anyone from a Richard Linklater movie is going to win an Oscar, it is going to be one of his biggest collaborators that has worked with him for decades. That's if he's not going to, if Linklater's not going to win, at least, I don't know, the guy that's made 3, 4, 5 movies with him, maybe that, maybe not the, monologue lady. I don't know. Very upset. I don't like that performance a lot. And we're going to talk about that very soon. So,
well, it's a weak category that she's in.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we can talk about that too. But so we're at a standstill.
But I do love Ruffalo.
Yeah, I do too.
Ruffalo's really goddamn good.
He's good.
I feel like we're all at the place where like it could go to
that.
either of those two and we would all be fine.
Like Ruffalo,
feel like
Bergman says it's a tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does feel like I have a sense that the Hawk contingent is maybe just a little bit more passionate about that particular performance. And if that is the case, then I'm fine with.
But the Foxcatcher and Mark Ruffalo contingent here builds a strong case for a movie that I think won't get a lot more love later on. And Ruffalo is an actor that I love a lot as well.
You don't know what Sophia and I have been talking about at the lead actor category.
Yeah, it's.
Well, this will be interesting. I mean, I wouldn't be mad with Ethan Hawke winning this. But I also am like, yeah, I also love Mark Ruffalo. So this is very tough for me. This isn't like I have my pick, but it's also like Ruffalo is my 2, and I'm very strong about that because like that was another one where it's like, wait a minute, why didn't he get that? It's such a perfect performance for him to win. Yeah. And then like he had the Spotlight nomination. What was that, like literally 2 years later or whatever? And it was like, why didn't
the next year?
Yeah, like the next year, it's like, why didn't he, of anybody that broke through,
which is a terrible nomination.
Yeah,
I don't like.
But also felt like, didn't it, Josh? Where
that was truly we're sorry we didn't give you the Oscar last year.
It kind of felt like we're going to give it to you this year, and it was like, no, we're not. Like, you know what I mean?
Literally the worst performance of that movie.
And so
good ensemble, they picked the most terrible choice. But yeah,
but it is like, to be fair, like I love Hawk and what that means personally to me, but also the one that broke me the most is Ruffalo.
Yeah,
like they're both very, very different performances, but they're also very good. And also, Hawk and Ruffalo are good friends. So either way, one of their friends is walking home with an Oscar from us. So I mean, Sophia, maybe speak to it.
It should be a tie.
A tie would be fun. I'm okay not.
We have never done a tie.
We've never done a tie yet.
Yeah. But like it feels like they're like the two of them are both like the 1 and 2 for everyone.
Like, 2 also.
Yeah,
this is where we are the math. Yeah.
Before we used to do
preferential ballot, baby.
Yeah, where it was
text
like
Karen.
Whoever's your like
text the group
up.
Yeah.
But yeah. If you don't have Hawk at number 1, you have Ruffalo at 2, and vice versa. So
yeah.
Are we?
We're making this thing up as we go along.
Yeah, we're making it up as we go.
Tie.
We're gonna have our first ever tie.
We don't have like Academy bylaws to stand by.
No.
Honestly, I go with, if Josh is okay with it, I'm okay with it, because Josh is the key master a lot when it comes to this
tie,
stuff.
baby.
All right, it's a tie.
It's a
I actually like to do more of the Mark Ruffalo with the costumes. Like, it's a tie. Yeah, no shit. Look at it right here. So all right.
Or Wahlberg, right?
Yeah, or Wahlberg. What did I say? Ruffalo? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh
He's
yeah,
on the brain.
Wahlberg. Yeah, he's on the brain because he's a winner, baby. All right, Dan, supporting actress.
Yeah. Oh boy. Best supporting actress. Our winner was Ms. Patricia Arquette for Boyhood. And the other nominees were Laura Dern for Wild, Keira Knightley for The Imitation Game, Emma Stone for Birdman, and the Lord High Priestess herself, Meryl Streep in Into the Woods.
I gotta say, this is one of the worst categories we've. This is bleak.
I really like.
It's one of the worst we've done.
I would only keep 2 of these, maybe 3, but yikes.
Who are we kicking out?
Streep.
Yes.
Whoa.
Easily.
Emma Stone. Sorry.
I would not kick out Meryl. I actually think of her musical performances, this is one of her best ones. And I think she's one of the best performances in the film. I think she's great. I wouldn't give her a win or anything, guys. I just think like I would kick out Emma Stone, and I would kick out Keira Knightley, and I would kick out, and I
like Keira.
And
Keira Knightley is like the only good thing about that movie. Okay.
I would for sure kick out Patricia Arquette.
Wait, she's my winner of the 5 listed here still.
I mean, talk about I thought there would be more.
No, I wouldn't. I don't like the performance. I don't like the way.
She's better for me than Emma Stone and Meryl Streep, at least, and then Laura Dern.
Laura Dern's barely in that movie, but I think it's a fine performance.
Laura Dern is in that movie for maybe 5 minutes, but she's great in those.
Yeah,
5
she's good.
minutes.
Yeah, she's being Laura Dern. She's like.
That to me felt like a thank you for being on the campaign trail for your dad last year. Here you go.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And also a
we'll see you in a couple of years. We're gonna give you a win. Yeah. I mean, I'm fine keeping Keira Knightley. I just, she loves puzzles.
I just like I feel like Meryl is just she is both like grandstanding but also resting on her laurels. Like she is just being like herself. She's just having fun in this.
Yeah, let her have fun.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's perfectly fine. But she does not need an Oscar nomination for it. No.
I think the monologues of Arquette and Stone, the law firm of bad monologues.
Well, I would say those
bad.
2 performances are really hindered by the writing, especially.
Yeah.
The delivery of it too. Like
I don't mind Arquette.
I'll tell you this. You can tell over the course of the time that Boyhood takes, one parent stayed a good actor and the other one didn't.
I'm fine with Arquette staying here, though. Like, if I were voting for 2 cuts, I think I would say Streep and Stone. And I like Emma Stone just in general, but I don't think that is one of my favorite performances. And I do blame it more on the writing, but I'm also still not attached to her.
The Stone one, the Stone also too. The one where she's yelling at Keaton. It's rough.
Yeah, but that's.
And then like the
script,
and then but then there's the stuff with her and Norton.
Remember, you wouldn't let Meryl win because of bad writing for Kramer versus Kramer. So
we're
gonna
I am
Stone for it too.
Dan's like, I was not here. I abstained.
I know you weren't. You would have helped me.
Yeah, but
to be fair, we still let Meryl stay that time.
Well, Meryl's Meryl, not Emma, so we're gonna kick Emma out.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the point.
I'm fine.
Meryl being Meryl is precisely why I would chop her first. Like she does not need this nomination at all.
No, I mean like
I don't like this movie at all.
Yeah.
No, me neither.
I don't think it's that bad, but I'm also not beholden to the musical like many others are. Like I think
it's not even that. It just looks so cheap and ugly. I'm sorry.
Much like another musical coming out in a couple of weeks, I guess.
All right, we're not talking about this right now. We're not doing it. We're not doing it.
Go see
Okay.
Gladiator. Go see Gladiator 2, folks. Anyway,
Go see both.
no. So Emma Stone sounds like she's on the way out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly, yes.
I would kick out Meryl before I would kick out Patricia Arquette.
Oh,
And for
same.
this
Yeah,
particular
same.
group.
That's fair. Okay. So Emma is out and Meryl's out. Okay. Wow. So Jessica Chastain's in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we can
Of course.
worry about that. No more. Like that's in. Bullshit that she wasn't nominated. It's ridiculous. Honestly, it wouldn't have been it would have who would have been it was Laura Dern really that kind of kicked her
Yeah,
out.
she was a
right?
surprise. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as that was. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she didn't get SAG though. She got Globe. Naomi Watts for St. Vincent was the SAG nomination.
Mm-mm.
I actually like Melissa McCarthy in that movie, but
Yeah,
same.
I think if
she's
anyone,
my
yeah,
favorite, preferred supporting actress in that film.
yes, I agree. Okay. Throw out some other names, folks.
Renee Russo for Nightcrawler.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
Stone
gonna-
Cold bitch. Love her.
Okay. Maybe this is the interstellar bias in me, but I would throw out Anne Hathaway in Interstellar. I think she's really good, and I've warmed up to that performance a lot more over the years. And I think she also gets a lot of shit because she's Anne Hathaway. I think she's really good in that movie, and she's really great opposite McConaughey. And
We want to talk about monologues.
she's got a monologue.
Yeah, she
and
does,
listen,
and I would
it's
actually
better than the
say-
ones that were nominated that had monologues. I'll tell you
and,
that.
and I think there is an awkwardness to that monologue that is intentional,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But I think that's a losing battle for us, Ryan.
I
don't
know,
think
buddy.
we're never
I
gonna go
know.
that way.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying. I
But
think
I
she,
appreciate you
I
sticking
wanted-
up for her. 'Cause
I wanted
agree
to
with
throw her
you.
out there. Like Anne gets a lot of shit from people. It's not right, and she's really good in that movie.
Mm.
And she works really well with Nolan. And I hope she works with him again.
Yeah, I do too.
So
Yeah.
that's my 2
Obviously,
cents.
everybody mentions Carrie Coon from Gone Girl.
Yes,
I would actually throw out Kim Dickens from Gone Girl, who
Yes.
actually is my
Yeah.
favorite supporting actress in that
Yes.
movie. Every scene with her is just gold. And I love Carrie Coon as well, but man, Kim Dickens just like there's a sparkle in that movie every time she
Yes.
shows up.
Yep.
That is truly a special performance in that movie. She stands out every scene that she's in. She has the right tone to make it like that really tart, like kick to every line that she has in that movie. She's great. I would like to throw out Agata Kulesa for Ida. I think maybe the best female performance of the year across any category. She's absolutely stunning in that movie. And I would also honestly throw out there. Wait a minute. Actually, never mind, because that's thinking about it. That is a lead performance.
That's
not
a lead
supporting
performance?
So
Okay, all
never
right.
mind what I was
That's-
going to say there.
that's fine, Dan. That's okay. Way to catch yourself. That's good.
Yep.
All right, Sophia.
I also, of course, had Carrie Coon in Gone Girl. I had Kim Dickens in Gone Girl, and just to give a special mention, Casey Wilson in Gone Girl.
I
as
knew
Noelle
Casey Wilson was
Hawthorne,
coming. I knew that one was coming.
which I think is a hilarious comedic performance. I know many people like Noelle Hawthorne and can imagine how irritated Amy Dunn must have been with her, speaking with her. Tilda Swinton for Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Yes. So fucking lootly.
Yes. Those were all the names I had, though. We've read most of them.
Okay. All right. Any others, guys?
Oh, I also like Marion Bailey and Mr. Turner.
She
Yes.
is very good. Yeah, she's very good.
Yes.
I like Mr. Turner.
Me too.
That's good movie. Good movie.
Good movie. Just like, yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Dick Pope. Oh,
Yeah.
well, I was
Yeah,
going to say it
R.I.P.
correctly,
Dick Pope.
Josh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Man just died.
One of the most legendary screw ups in
announcement.
Academy
Yeah.
history.
But also, yes, R.I.P. Dick Poop.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I will throw out there for this category that if we were going to nominate anyone, any female supporting actress from Into the Woods, it should have been Anna Kendrick, not Meryl Streep. And if we're going to be defending Anne Hathaway from all the hate she gets, let's please defend Miss Kendrick from all the hate that she does not deserve that she
She
gets
get a lot of hate?
online. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not like her.
Oh, really?
But honestly, like on the steps of the palace is probably the best musical number in this movie of Into the Woods, and it is because of how good she is in that number.
Dan, I know you're really big on this performance. Do we count Emily Blunt in supporting actress for Edge of Tomorrow?
Okay, so
or is that a lead performance? Because I think she's supporting, and it's mostly Cruise's film. But
at the time, I believe I remember having her in my supporting lineup because he is so obviously like the lead.
Yeah, it's all through his perspective.
Like, I think she's borderline. It's one of those things like she's the lead actress of that movie, but is she really a lead character? I don't know. I would absolutely also consider her because what a badass.
Probably her best performance, like one of her best performances, if not her best performance.
2014 was just a very, very good year for Emily Blunt. Between that and Into the Woods, I think she's fantastic in Into the Woods too, honestly.
Okay. So we gotta make some choices. Some big heavy hitters. We're gonna leave out a lot. It's like the Oscars fucked up this category or something. Because there's a lot of great performances. I forgot about Tilda. Holy shit.
I forgot
she's so much fun in that movie, my God.
Yeah.
She has another performance from this year too, and we'll talk about it later.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will. Oh man.
I feel like we were all on Chastain.
Yeah. No. That's
That's
given.
I saw Ryan agreeing with me that Agatha Gleason and Ida was one of the best performances of the year.
She's very good.
So.
She's
I didn't know where to put her if I wanted to go lead or supporting.
I remember at the time, I believe she was run supporting.
Okay.
Yeah, but we make our own rules here.
That makes sense.
True, we do.
Yeah.
We just gave a fucking tie.
I put her on my supporting list. I was trying to think. It's like, can we get a little creative?
I mean, there's Tilda, and then Carrie Coon and Gone Girl, who's incredible.
I feel like we all lit up when we remembered Tilda Swinton.
Yes, we did.
I kind of feel like that might be the one.
Also, by the way,
how much of that is her and how much of that is the makeup?
I know,
it's a little bit of both. That performance is insane.
Really.
Also, shout out to Reese Witherspoon in Inherent Vice, just because the two scenes that she's in, she's with Joaquin Phoenix, and they're incredible. They have incredible chemistry. They should do more movies together. Maybe she can keep him in his commitment to finishing movies. Maybe just help him. She's a good producer. She's a good producer, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about killer monologues this year.
Oh, Reese?
No, not Reese. What's her
Catherine
name?
Waterston?
Yeah, Catherine Waterston in this movie.
Yeah, she's great too. Yeah.
She's involved in a scene though in that movie that I find so baffling though.
Agreed.
Welcome to the choice. Welcome to the choices of that movie, Josh.
Choices made.
So are we doing Chastain and Tilda? Yes.
I would be okay with that.
Wasn't there somebody else that we mentioned that was Renee Russo?
Oh, Renee Russo, yeah, who I do love. But I would lean
Tilda
Agatha. Ida, I think, over.
I haven't rewatched Ida in a long time, so that performance does not really stick with me as much.
He's got a new movie coming out, doesn't he? Like next year?
I love him.
Yeah, doesn't he?
The Tall Man in Cold War. Sorry, this is we can talk about that another time.
Wait,
I'm so hot already over here, Sophia. Like, please.
The way we all leaned in, we're like, yes, tell me more. Tell me more. That was very Grease there.
I don't even need just Pavel on his own. Like, he's enough of the tall, dark, and handsome. Like, please.
All right, let's pick a supporting.
Do we want to go
actress
with Jessica Chastain and Tilda Swinton? Did that feel like?
I feel like
what we wanted to do. Kim Dickens is the other one. I feel like we were all excited about.
Yeah,
I do really like Kim Dickens.
Yeah, I do love her, but I would prefer. I think I prefer the other two.
All
Certainly bigger roles.
All right, we're gonna go Tilda Swinton, Snowpiercer. We're going to go Jessica Chastain for Most Violent Year, Patricia Arquette for Boyhood, Keira Knightley for The Imitation Game, and Well, Jesus. And Laura Dern for Wild. God, even I forgot that Laura Dern was nominated for that. I'm going to give this to Jessica Chastain. I think she's phenomenal in this film. It is like I'm in the bag for a most violent year. This is like J.C. Chandor doing The Godfather, essentially doing a Coppola movie. And what's so great about Oscar Isaac in that movie is his vulnerability, but then the sort of real puppet master behind strings is her, and how she was born to be a Michael Corleone character and never gets to actually be in that society. And it's as if Connie was running the show, right? And was cunning and had that killer instinct. I think she's phenomenal. And it would cut having to give her an Oscar for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which is a really bad performance. And one, I mean, like, I get it. It's a career win. But this is one of those, I mean, her 2010s are phenomenal and filled with these performances that are just much more thoughtful and interesting. And this is probably her best. So I would give it to Chastain. That's my vote.
I'm in agreement. I would also go Chastain pretty easily. I think
damn good.
I love the performance.
Yeah, I think in terms of like degree of difficulty, like part of me wants to give it to Keira Knightley for single-handedly holding that entire movie on her back. But
I respect you for saying that.
But honestly, come on. Like, it was so disrespectful not to even nominate Jessica Chastain for this movie. Like, please.
Yeah. Nothing else to add. It should be Jessica Chastain.
Chastain, you stay. And you win. All right. Best actor. Eddie Redmayne, The Theory of Everything. Steve Carell, By a Nose in Foxcatcher. Bradley Cooper in American Sniper. Benedict Cumberbatch, The Imitation Game. And Michael Keaton as he tucks his speech away for Birdman. All right, guys. This is going to be, we're going to have a long fight about this.
I don't think so, honestly.
Okay.
I think this might be relatively simple.
I would kick out Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything. And I would kick out Bradley Cooper for American Sniper. Those would be what I present to the group. I hate both of those performances. And
I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose the battle to keep Eddie Redmayne in this category. So the only thing that I will say is remember that movie was filmed out of order, and yet he still managed to chart the Stephen Hawking's descent in terms of the deterioration of his body very, very well with much precision. And that is the only thing that I will say, because I know that I'm more in the bag for this movie than anyone else here and fully expect to lose that. So I will throw that out there as my one Hail Mary pass and say that I personally would take out Steve Carell, who I think is letting the makeup. I think the makeup is doing more work than he is with that performance, but also I just think it's a supporting performance in general, and I don't think it belongs here. And the second is Benedict Cumberbatch, because that is an offensive movie about this character, and it is an offensive performance, frankly.
See, I disagree about Benedict Cumberbatch personally. Like, I don't like the movie, but I actually do think his performance is good enough to carry that material. And I think that he actually has some moments when he allows to become more introspective. Like, I hate the police interrogation scenes. I think they're so badly written, but I really like his performance in those moments. They're actually really the highlights for me of watching him in that film. So I don't like the movie, but I think his performance is fine in it. To me, Eddie Redmayne is doing the stuff that I just personally, for my taste, don't really like all that much in acting. I understand why it succeeds for most people, but it doesn't really for me. And I mean, sorry, Sophia, but I kind of even extend that to Daniel Day-Lewis in My Left Foot, where there's a little bit of that. To me, it's just normally not what impresses me all that much. So I would kind of get rid of him. And yeah, Bradley Cooper, he makes whatever you can out of American Sniper salvageable, but I still would not say that this is worthy of a nomination.
Like Keira Knightley, he is carrying that whole movie on his back.
No, his
And I
very
will say
broad
that
shoulders.
he
know.
does,
It is why
especially
I
in
kind
this
of want to
movie.
keep
My
him.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
And
tempting.
as far as Cumberbatch goes, what you were saying, Josh, like I would agree with you for the first half of that movie, or maybe even the first 2/3 of that movie. But once we get into the part where he is sick and dying,
Yeah.
no, I think that is so bad. Oh, and not
Yeah.
just the makeup.
But I think again that it falls on the screenplay, and I think that as much as why we kept Knightley in there for as much as she does, I think Cumberbatch does the best of what he can do, and I've seen really bad Benedict Cumberbatch performances before. I do not think that this is one of those. Eddie Redmayne, this is a really bad performance, and Cooper, an actor I really like, and I just cannot stomach giving any praise to this movie. I think it is vile propaganda, and I can't believe that.
Well, it's propaganda only because it's made by somebody who has no interest in interrogating any of the ideas.
Well, it's also
yeah,
but it's also
that's
just
to me about Eastwood is that like American Sniper actually could be a movie that is
no, it almost was.
But
no, it won't. Yeah,
like
yeah,
but Clint Eastwood is not interested.
No, there is
really, at least now, diving deeper into those questions. So it just comes across as
Yeah.
propaganda because he's so lazy that he can't really have any conversation about it.
I think that movie is actually a lot more complex than people are willing to admit. And it is mostly because Eastwood just directed as straightforward as possible to avoid all of that shit.
Yeah.
No, and I think, yeah. Sorry, Sophia, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just was going to keep it simple and say that if I say Bradley Cooper should go, he should probably go. And I'm saying that he should go. So I would cut him, and then I would cut Eddie Redmayne. For, I think, Josh, the reasons that you said, those types of performances don't usually work for me. And I understand why they work specifically for the actors branch and why you can carry a long award season narrative from them. But I think just in terms of if I'm comparing Benedict Cumberbatch, because Bradley Cooper is my fourth or fifth. If I'm comparing Eddie Redmayne and Benedict Cumberbatch, I would give Cumberbatch the edge performance-wise.
By the way, controversial take on this also. There is chunks of time Eddie Redmayne is not in that movie. And it feels like Charlie Cox is actually the lead opposite Felicity Jones for a lot of it. It's really her movie.
We got to spend time with Felicity Jones.
Yeah, and then you got to spend time with her. You know what I mean? You really spend a majority of that time with that character. And that's why it's not really a very interesting movie learning about this character or this person in time or this relationship. It really becomes one-sided, and it's just bad. Anyway, okay, so it sounds like that we are going to kick out Eddie Redmayne and Bradley Cooper. Sorry,
we're really keeping the supporting performance here. Okay,
I mean, yes, because I think the other ones are really bad, and like per Steve Carell's contract, he technically is supposed to be in lead all the time, even though it's not the case. If we had unlimited, we would be replacing most of this lineup outside of
this whole lineup.
Yeah, except Keaton. I think the only one that would be safe is Keaton. I think that I agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, Dan, to be fair, even in a supporting role, Carell is very good in this movie, I think. And I think he's better also than Redmayne and Cooper for me in the performances.
I would still rank him third in that trio, between Tatum and Ruffalo, but I still really do like Carell in the movie.
No, for sure.
I totally hear your argument, Dan. About,
I get it.
Doing most of the work, I get it, but I still like the performance enough for me to keep it.
There is like the makeup sort of doing like how we see in other performances where the makeup is doing a lot of work, and you see a photo. It's like you see a photo of a guy nowadays or an actress nowadays, and you're like, oh, they're just going to win the Oscar. And that was a long time for Carell, but I do think that he gets the essence of this sinisterness behind John DuPont in the entire film as well. And I think that he is really good opposite Tatum and Mostly
he is
Tatum.
very good opposite Tatum. I will say that, but I think
Also, the scenes with
that's-
him and Redgrave, I think, are
Yeah,
really
those
good
are
too.
another performance we didn't mention earlier, but Vanessa
Yeah,
Redgrave.
well,
Again,
another
like
one's,
again,
very
like he's
small.
all
I know.
he's
But
great when
sometimes,
he's
you know,
he's
small
great when he's
performances,
acting
yeah.
opposite other really great actors, and not so much when
He's by himself.
just by
Yeah, that's fair.
himself. And
That's fair.
yeah, and on like I really do like just that when people talk about how creepy he is in that movie, and I'm like, but how much of that is just because of the makeup job? Like, let's
Well, I think
please be
it's
honest
a
here.
combination
Like,
of
it's at least more than 50% of it is the makeup.
yeah.
But
I think
okay, so we'd rather have someone who is not doing enough than someone's doing too much. Okay, that's fine.
yeah.
gotta pick your
That's the
battles
group
where
that
you
we're
can.
in
Yes,
here,
pick
which is like
your
that's
battles.
fine.
Yeah.
I would love
like
to
I
cut
said,
more.
I knew I was going to lose
Yeah,
this battle with Eddie Redmayne. But okay,
It's also a win that then lands a nomination the next year too. I feel like it
well,
carries.
let's say if we're talking about truly offensive performances, the one that he got nominated for next year, that is truly unconscionable.
And it is
involved. Yes.
You just won,
and it is a totally much like if you want to see a really bad,
it's
Eddie
a bad
Redmayne
performance. Yes,
that is truly one of the worst performances to have ever been nominated.
But Dan, I think that
gets offensive.
But I
blame
think
Tom Hooper for that more. Getting in.
I mean,
but I do think a factor of it is like this is the previous winner, and he gets a bump.
This is what a good version of the performance looks like.
Yeah, and they're like trying, you know what I mean? So like I do think that
the afterglow.
Yeah, the afterglow is big on that one, and it's bad. So all right, so we have Carell, Cumberbatch, and Keaton. Those are the ones we saved. Let's start throwing names out there, folks.
Well, I feel like the automatic for a lot of people will be Ralph Fiennes for Grand Budapest.
Well, that's just a name we're going to mention. There's a lot of actors.
There are like this is a very stacked year. Because the number one for me actually is Oscar Isaac in A Most Violent Year. I think he is like basically doing like 70s Pacino in this film. I think it is.
What if 70s Pacino failed?
Yeah. I think that is a masterful performance.
Yeah.
Also on my list, if we're going to talk about 70s Pacino, I'm going to talk about 70s De Niro, which makes me think of Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler, because he reminds me so much of one of those Travis Bickle type characters. He doesn't blink at all. It's just such a fascinating, detailed, scary performance that's also very funny. And he got in everywhere. And then Bradley Cooper stole his thunder.
And then he stole Maestro.
Yeah. It really is a feud.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's a new Ryan Murphy's next feud is going to be
yes.
The
Bradley.
tale of the
Bradley. You got to stop. Yeah.
Tethers. Yeah.
Ben Affleck.
Absolutely, Ben Affleck and
wait
Gone
for
Girl.
someone to mention him.
Yes, it's the best casting. Best casting of the 2010s.
Best casting, absolutely.
Joaquin Phoenix, Inherent Vice. He's awesome as Doc Sportello in that film. I love him in that.
Channing
Tatum.
Giving the performance of his life.
David Oyelowo. I think David Josh was going to say.
The first person who came to my mind for this category every time I think about it. And the second, who should have gotten way more love this year, but I get it because the film's kind of meh. But Chadwick Boseman, talk about someone who burns through the screen in Get On Up. Like the charisma just coming out every pore, and you're playing James Brown. Like you got to be able to deliver, and my God, does he do that? The film
better
is
movie than people
whatever.
give credit to.
Yeah,
I agree. It's not bad. It's certainly like if you look back from the vantage point of Bohemian Rhapsody, it looks even better.
Yeah, there's actually some interesting things happening in that movie that I did not expect. Least of all from like Tate Taylor of all people.
Right? But he is Chadwick Boseman is really
good.
incredible in that movie and should have gotten a lot more love. The other one and this is like, I think in my memory it's a borderline supporting performance, but I think he's brilliant in this. Michael Fassbender in Frank is.
Oh, I thought Domhnall Gleeson would be more the lead of that film.
But yeah, and I couldn't it's been a long time since I saw it. But I remember thinking that he's kind of brilliant in that movie, and the fact that he's wearing that giant thing on his head the whole
mache.
time.
Yeah.
It is all physical, and that is like not something that you generally think of when you think of a Michael Fassbender performance, but he's kind of brilliant in that movie.
Josh?
Yeah. Two other ones that I actually had also, because Best Actor was so stacked this year. I really like Tom Hardy in Locke.
Yeah.
He's literally on screen
100%
of that movie. You are locked in with him in that car, and to carry that movie successfully is just, I think, very incredible. And this is a tiny movie. I know it's not going to get any mentions, but I really just like this performance a lot, and that is Jack O'Connell in Startup.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Woo!
He's great in that.
So is Ben Mendelsohn. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
Should have mentioned him in supporting actor. Tom Hiddleston in Only Lovers Left Alive.
Can I say that I really love Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar?
You were just about to take the words right out of my mouth.
When he cries, I cry.
McConaughey's so damn good in that movie.
He's really good.
It's one of those, like we just talked about it with Redman and Afterglow nomination. It's like, how did that not happen? Because he's giving everything he can in that movie, and it's so emotional and it's so beautiful.
And I'm sorry, that third act of that movie is like completely ridiculous.
I love it,
and only works because he is so invested in it. He
wants to get home.
You're so invested in his performance that you go along with the ridiculousness of what happens.
I mean, that scene,
great. In that
movie. Everybody
talks
talks about the crying scene, but it's the scene when he returns back and they're waiting for Murph, for Ellen Burstyn's character to just come over there, and he's sitting on like the old porch, right, and everything with Tars, best character of the year, for 2014, and he's just like, this doesn't feel right. And he goes back and to go save essentially Anne Hathaway. And it's just a beautiful ending. And he's wonderful in that movie. I'm sorry. I love McConaughey so much. And it sucks that like the year before he's winning an Oscar for like a movie that I'm not a big fan of at all. And it's like, no, this is it, guys. This one should have been it. Just wait a year. You couldn't give it to like Leo or something else. Like you couldn't have gone to anybody else that year. You could have just waited a year, and the McConaughey's could have continued just for one little time. No, okay. It's a really stacked year for Best Actor.
It is.
It's.
I have another fun one to throw out, which is again just a thirst nomination that I think this group might like, and that's Dan Stevens for The Guest.
Yes,
he's so good in that. Yes,
I love that movie. That's the last time Adam Wingard made a good movie.
Yeah.
Although, if you really want to throw out a thirst trap, is Pierre de Londechamps for Stranger by the Lake.
Oh,
yeah.
If you guys want to throw out an even like the thirstiest of traps, if you guys want to really throw out the thirstiest of traps, Timothy Spall and Mr. Turner.
I knew you were going to say this because he was the one other person on my list.
Talk about just those paintings and those grunts. Yeah.
No one grunts like Timothy Spall.
No one grunts like Timothy. Revs my engine. Anyway, Andy Serkis for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Obviously, Cruise for Edge of Tomorrow. There's too many.
It's a good year for Best Actor.
Unusually strong Best Actor lineup, because normally this is not the problem we have with the category.
Fuck it, I'd even throw Keanu in for John Wick. It was the first time you're ever going to see that movie, and I love it.
Yeah,
I throw an honorable, like he could get like a Golden Globe nom or some bullshit like that down the road.
We haven't mentioned like Alfred Molina.
Yeah,
really incredible in Love is Strange, giving great performance. Love that movie.
There's just so many.
You know who's not good?
It's tough.
Eller Coltrane, Boyhood. We're not good.
Yeah, no, he's terrible.
Yeah,
he is a child.
He is for what it is.
He's bad.
We didn't know.
He's bad.
We didn't know. But
this is the problem with the experiment, is that you could be good in every aspect, but unfortunately one thing is off. And
he is better as a kid.
12 years.
He is better as a kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's better there, but you could definitely know when the awkward years start to come.
And you're like, oh shit.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we gotta like bring this back down because we threw out a lot of names.
Yeah, there's a lot of names.
So we gotta get two names out of here. This is tough. I think the consensus is Oscar Isaac. Like I think
is it?
I would put him
for
in.
Oscar Isaac.
I would put him
I
in.
am.
I don't
My
know.
number
Like, I felt
one
I
is
would.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
I would feel weird not having him in, but we put Chastain in personally, and Oscar Isaac. Like, my ongoing battle to get Oscar Isaac an Oscar nomination is ridiculous. Like, the fact that the man was nominated for Inside Llewyn Davis or this is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Llewyn Davis, that's truly
Llewyn is,
unconscionable.
Yeah, that's bad, and he's wonderful in this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. I wouldn't nominate Jake.
What?
No,
he's my winner.
Yeah, he
Guys,
would.
what?
Yeah, he's close to being my winner in this category.
He's my
honestly.
winner.
Like,
He has very good moments for sure, but he also has like some like Gyllenhaal when he
there's
does
5
his whole,
performances I
big
put in
kick stuff. I don't know. I have trouble fully buying into it. He has some moments in there that I think he's good, but he's not my favorite.
He'd be like
He's
my
better
numbers.
than all 5 nominees that got in over him.
I mean, that's fair, but we have to put.
I'd agree with that.
I mean, that's fair, and I get that. But there's 5 other guys I would replace before I would put.
Well, I mean, like, if you two if Ryan and Josh have Oscar, and Sophia and I have Jake.
I really want Ben Affleck in there for Congo.
I want Channing Tatum too, though.
There's a lot of people that we want in here for sure, but there's so many names.
Too many.
I'm like the Channing Tatum ones, but I thought it would like easily get Sophia and maybe somebody else with like Ben Affleck's performance in Gone Girl is
amazing.
Fucking incredible. And
it is a stroke of genius.
It
really is.
It's truly.
He is playing Scott Peterson. Like,
he's playing himself. Like,
but he's so good. He's so good in this movie.
He is.
And that's the thing. It's like I can't see a world where like I understand she got nominated, and I love that she got nominated. We're not going to replace her because we're not dumb. But the fact that like we should have Ben Affleck in there, and then I'm like, but then wait a minute, how does Oscar Isaac not get in? And just it's one of those things like you look through history, and I get that, but it's like, how do we give her the win? But Oscar Isaac
makes sense to not have Ben Affleck in there too thematically with the movie.
It does,
because it does, but he's so good.
Yeah. No, I mean my picks, like Jake would be number 1. Then I would say Ben and Channing. Those would be my top 3.
Channing would probably be my number 1.
Probably Oscar,
and then
Ben.
Jake. That's also how they would go on another list of mine, but we don't need to talk about that.
Oscar, Ben. Then I would put McConaughey, Fiennes.
What?
And then I would put Joaquin Phoenix for Inherent Vice, and then Jake Gyllenhaal. That's how I do it. Fiennes is incredible in Grand Budapest Hotel.
Fiennes is incredible.
Jake is my winner, so I have to just speak my truth.
Okay.
Which is that
it feels like if it's 2 people's like number 1, then it probably should get in, and so that would be the.
Can we cut another person?
No, we've already put a tie in here. We're not doing this.
Yeah,
this is why we have the rules. It makes it hard. Josh.
I mean, I feel very strongly about Oscar Isaac. I do.
If I can get Oscar Isaac in there, I'd be okay.
Yeah, to be honest, and it feels to me like saying Oscar Isaac and Jake Gyllenhaal appeases everybody here. Like, we are not getting everybody that we want, but we're getting the ones that we're most passionate about. And I think that is the rule of the compromise.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Okay.
Poor Ben Affleck.
Poor Channing Tatum, too.
Yeah.
Poor Ray Fiennes once again screwed over.
We just didn't even really
did it again.
We just fucked him over again.
Well,
good
sucks to be in a more competitive Best Actor race.
David Oyelowo just once again, like everyone thought at the beginning of the year, it's going to be David Oyelowo, and then shut out by this Academy.
The disrespect,
like very disrespectful. All right, so we have Oscar Isaac,
Martin Luther King. I mean,
Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler, Steve Carell, Foxcatcher, Benedict Cumberbatch, The Imitation Game, and the Keats for Birdman. Well, we know where these votes, 2 of these votes are going. Sophia, yours is Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yep.
Okay.
For all the reasons I described. I can try to think of some more if need be, but yeah.
Dan?
Same. It's the scary level of commitment for me.
Josh.
I am voting for Oscar Isaac.
Okay. I'm not doing a tie today. Like again, we already did a tie.
Ron's like, I would normally vote for Oscar Isaac, but since we already have a tie, I'm not going to.
I got him in. I got my boy in. It's fine.
Well, just to mention this, Ryan, like before we did the ties, we said we would then go to like a preferential.
That's true.
To it. So
yeah, but
do we want to rule that out first, or you
Jake
just
would still be 2? Like it's like out of the 3 that are left, like like Jake would be 2, and I'm okay.
Jake would not be my 2 in the category. No.
Okay.
Would you go Keaton too?
Yeah, Keaton would be my runner-up.
Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with Jake. Like I like Jake. Jake's a good guy. He's better than every other nominee here. And I do think his performance is very good. I love Oscar Isaac.
Honor the man, honor the movie. Like, come on.
I am willing to break the tie and give it to Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, I think that's fair.
You could vote for Keaton. No one's stopping.
I mean, I could vote for Keaton. I'd just be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to vote for Michael Keaton. And here's why. That man has given us great performances for like 3 or 4 decades. That sad goddamn moment where he had to tuck that speech back in for this bullshit Eddie Redmayne performance is one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen. This is like one of America's dads. Like just being like completely like, when is he ever going to get another chance? I hope that it's the case. We all lied to ourselves and thought it would be Spotlight. We thought it might be The Founder. We clearly didn't even try for Trial of Chicago 7. Like we didn't try there either when he's like the best performance in that movie. Like we have done a disservice to this man. Now he's going back and playing Beetlejuice and Batman in these like okay-ish to really bad movies. Like give Michael Keaton a goddamn movie to give him an Oscar, because it was so sad watching, and not even Spotlight too, because we nominated Ruffalo. Like it was so sad watching him just have to tuck away.
Well, they screwed him over by running him lead for Spotlight.
That's true.
Like that was all his,
because he has like the scene of Spotlight where it's the guy coming up to him in the bar. He's like, "This is what happens, huh?"
Yeah. If 30
they had
years
run
of
him
this, supporting,
guys coming here,
he may have gotten in and won. Like, but they didn't.
Also, too, Liev Schreiber's incredible in that movie. Stanley Tucci's incredible in that movie. There's a lot of great performances in that movie, and then Ruffalo
better.
And the worst one, and then Ruffalo got it. But I'll give it to the Keats, even though Jake Gyllenhaal's our winner, and that's fine. I like Jake,
and I like Oscar Isaac a lot too.
I just wish,
yeah,
it's Ben Affleck and Gone Girl. Like it's so good.
No, I love Ben Affleck and Gone Girl, but I had to pick one person.
It's not about Jake. It's about like there's so many fucking actors that I love this year giving phenomenal performances, and he's up there. Like, maybe
it's like one of the last times this category was very strong with contenders.
It's true.
I will say this
and of
about
course got the most boring lineup possible.
Right.
Well, that's how
like
it always
Biopic
is.
City. Yeah.
I will say this about Jake. If he maybe would have won this or got this, maybe we don't get like Roadhouse or whatever fucking bullshit like run he's been on lately. Like maybe he starts becoming a little bit more serious.
The gifs of Roadhouse.
I mean, I like what I see, but I don't like the movie I'm seeing. Does that make sense?
I watched it for a particular reason and then regretted it immediately.
Like that is one of those things where like I feel like we would have gotten a Roadhouse. It's the Demolitions got less of.
Wow.
That was clearly trying for an Oscar nomination.
Jake should work with Villeneuve again. He actually worked really good. Just work with people like that.
He would have been good in the Gosling role in 2049, I think.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Because he kind of like did a version of that a little bit with Prisoners, right? So, okay. Actress, Sophia, want to read the nominees?
Yeah. So for actress, Julianne Moore was our winner for Still Alice. Marion Cotillard for 2 Days, One Night. Felicity Jones, everyone's favorite, for The Theory of Everything. Rosamund Pike for Gone Girl, and Reese Witherspoon for Wild.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this because I'm the only one that's gonna say this. I would honestly not change a thing about this lineup. I think this is a really good lineup.
I think it's a good lineup too
this year, and I know she gets a lot of shit, but again, like there are things that I have gone through in my life, and watching Felicity Jones, she perfectly encapsulates all of that in her performance, so I cannot kick her out. And frankly, there is no one in this category that I would kick out, even though I have plenty of suggestions.
I would kick out Felicity Jones after Dan. That's not a shot at Dan. It's just
I know.
I love you, Dan. You know that. And I would stop there, though. I would entertain Julianne Moore. I like that film, and I think people kind of think of it as just like a career film and sort of throw that Oscar away. It's a good movie. She's good in it. It's not a great movie. That's the problem, is she's in a lot of great movies, Julianne Moore. And comparing those to her body of work, it's not up to the par of the other work. But in terms of what she's doing in the film and the performance itself, it is a good win for a great actress. And so I don't have an issue with Still Alice. And I think what, Cotillard is doing in 2 Days, One Night is incredible. And I think Rossman's incredible. And I really like Reese in Wild. I really do.
She's really good in Wild.
She's really good.
Honestly.
It might be like her best performance for me.
Certainly her
outside
best
of
election, but
yeah.
But like, I think she's great in that. So just Felicity Jones for now. But if the group went and kicked more out, I would be like, okay. But I don't think that would be the case with this group.
No, I think I'm only really in favor of kicking Felicity Jones out. I like Julianne Moore and Still Alice. Like, I totally admit that it is sort of a career win, but who cares? Happens all the time. I've long given up caring about
I've seen career wins for worse performances and worse movies.
Exactly.
I have a wrinkle to add, a little thing to introduce.
Oh no.
What if we nominated Julianne Moore for Maps to the Stars instead?
Okay.
Oh,
no. All right. You know what? I'd forgotten about that, and I would actually be all for that, because I do think it is her better performance.
That did count that did actually count for this year, right? Like, because I know there was weird things with when it was released.
Technically, there was actually something where it didn't qualify for Oscars. I think it was the weird thing where they just did it for Globes. I don't really know.
Okay,
but
I'm looking.
Yeah, weird.
February 27th, 2015 for US. So my dream has died.
But she got a Globe nomination for the movie in 2014.
Well,
because the HFPA is freaking weird.
Yeah, come on, Josh.
That was a weird. But I will say that I would be in favor of that, because I actually do think it's her better 2014 performance. I love her in Maps of the Stars.
I think we'll just keep it with Still Alice for now. It was
okay.
Just had to throw it out there.
It was a good attempt,
I appreciate
Sophia.
That,
I appreciate
would have been
you.
in favor of it.
I appreciate you throwing a wrinkle that I even was like, wait, what the hell? So like, good job.
I love her in that film.
But I assume, Sophia,
so
you're with me and Josh on the Felicity Jones.
Yeah, I am. I would just kick out Felicity.
Do you think where would you kick her out to, Sophia? Like, would you kick her out into like the bookshelf Interstellar sort of space?
No, I would just kick her out to the floor of the in the Brutalist.
Oh, like Guy Pearce's house. Okay, that's fair.
I don't want to spoil anything. That's why I'm not giving anything away. But the Van Buren dining room floor.
That's fair. Man, she's been dragged a lot through this episode, just as much as she was in that film. So there you go. So all right, more Cotillard. Pike and Witherspoon we're keeping by Felicity Jones. Who are we replacing her with?
Like, if there is only one slot to be had in this lineup, then that slot deserves to go to Essie Davis for The Babadook. I don't think there should really be any question about that.
Well,
talk about someone who is just like throwing everything she has into a role that, frankly, she walked so that Toni Collette in Hereditary could run. And she's maybe even better in this movie than Collette is in Hereditary. I said it. There you go.
Well, you know what, Dan? I'll see your Essie Davis for The Babadook, and I'll raise you Jennifer Aniston and Cake No, I'm just kidding. I don't give a
I
shit.
was like, wait a second, what's going on here?
Please.
Wow.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Just kidding. No, that's a wonderful nomination. I actually was just fucking around. Tilda Swinton.
And if not her, then it should be Gugu Mbatha-Raw for pick one, either Belle or Beyond the Lights. I don't care. She's great in both.
Yeah,
or Tilda
I had her on
Swinton
my list
in
for both.
Only Lovers Left Alive.
Mhm.
It was phenomenal in that.
Love
I
it,
know we
Tilda.
I know we nominated her earlier, but just wanted to give her a shout out there because she's great. And that is one of my favorite performances for Tilda. Also, Scarlett Johansson for Under the Skin
Yep, also on my list.
someone I would-
She's great.
Yeah, she's wonderful in that.
Also, throw out there that I would not be necessarily upset if we decided to double nominate Jessica Chastain alongside her disappearance in Eleanor Rigby performance and lead, because she's pretty good in that movie too.
I haven't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't remember that movie at all.
It
I don't remember
disappeared.
much of it either, but I
It
remember
disappeared.
that she was very good.
She
I
had
remember the
a
end credit song being really good. I remember that making my ballot that year, actually. The only other name I would throw out is that I do really like Jenny Slate in Obvious Child.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's good in that, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
The other one that I would throw out there, like in reality, is Marion Cotillard for The Immigrant. But if we're going by Oscar rules,
Yeah.
like she's already in there for 2 days, 1 night, so we can't,
That's
nominate
fair.
her twice. But I think that's more fuel to the fire for her eventual win, at least for me, because
I love
Come
The
on.
Immigrant.
it's
I don't know where you
just
get-
Yeah,
such a
but
good
I like
movie.
2 days, 1 night.
No, that's
more.
fair.
Yeah,
No, that's
I
fair.
like that better.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
You guys read through all the names that I had on my list. Jenny Slate, Tilda Swinton, my Maps to the Stars mention, obviously. Essie Davis, though, in The Babadook was my number 1 pick.
I think that's where we're going, Josh.
Kind of sounds like it, which really does now make me wish we had gone with Obvious Child and adapted screenplay. But, I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right. So Essie Davis
Who would have
for
been your number 1 to put in over that, Josh?
I do really like Jenny Slate in Obvious Child. I just love that movie. I'm such a
Mhm.
big fan of it. And I think that it's one of those, like, it's a comedic performance, but it knows how to deliver those serious moments too that also don't feel like they're completely incongruous with each other. I find it to be a really grounded, naturalistic kind of performance even in a scenario that can seem very heightened. I think that she does a brilliant job at it.
All right. Okay. So Essie Davis, Jenny Slate. Which one are we going with? Are we going Essie
I vote
Davis?
Essie Davis.
Okay.
I would also vote Essie Davis. But we can retroactively go back and put Obvious Child in screenplay since it wouldn't matter anyway.
And we could do that. Josh, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'd be perfectly fine with
Okay.
that. Yeah.
We'll go back and do that.
This is
I'm
why I
always
said
bending
it.
the
I
rules.
We'll go back in
said
the
at the
rules.
time, I'm like, are you sure this will be the only place we'll get
Yeah.
the
Well, I thought there
I
would
think
be more of a
so.
fight
Like-
earlier for other things. All right, Essie Davis is in. That means Obvious Child is now nominated in adapted
For
screenplay,
adapted screenplay,
Over-
and over
All
the
right.
Babadook.
There's another rule we're breaking, but it's
yes.
fine.
It's fine.
It wouldn't change the winner.
We make the
anyway.
rules.
No, it doesn't
we
change
can
the winner.
override
It wouldn't
the
change.
rules.
That's the thing. If it doesn't change the winner, I'm okay going.
Okay,
back over that.
Yeah.
adding to the bylaws, if it doesn't change
Change
the
the
actual
winner.
winner, we can.
It's live on mic. All right. Like, I feel like Josh is going to get the bylaws tattooed on him somewhere.
He's gonna type them out.
He's going to type them
He
out.
needs to
And he's going to
I
hold
might
my
be
ass
tempted
to them.
do so.
Yeah, he's going to hold my ass
tattoo
to
them
them.
all over his body like Guy Pearce and Memento.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, it's like a Prison Break
Like-
episode. Yeah, you know what I mean? Okay, so Julianne Moore, Davis, Cotillard, Pike, Witherspoon. Give me a winner.
Cotillard.
Yeah, Marianne Cotillard, it is truly, I think, the best performance in that category, probably the best performance anyone gave in 2014. To me, that is like the epitome of someone who is not even acting. They are just being that character the whole time. I don't see Marianne Cotillard at all I see Sandra whenever I watch this movie, which is more times probably than I would normally watch because she's just so good. Oh my gosh.
It's Pike for me, but Cotillard's right behind, and I wonder, how much of me selecting Pike is just loving her and Amy Dunn. Um, but I would be perfectly happy with Cotillard. I think that performance is pretty transcendent.
Um, hmm.
But I'm definitely with those two. Like that's my
Trying to think what I would do.
but I'd give Julianne Moore like 5 other Oscars in other places.
I would nominate her
Just not
for a
here.
bunch of other stuff too. I like Pike a lot. And I like Cotillard as well. I think she's really great in the film. Again, shout out Reese. She's wonderful in that movie too. Probably would be of the 5 nominated who I would vote for.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I think Reese is really good. But Davis is in our lineup now, and I'm going to vote for Davis because I think that's truly one of the great performances in not just horror, but in genre, but also in horror and also just overall, it's a great performance. I don't know how she didn't slap that kid more than she did. Like it's an incredible,
Actually,
it's actually a really great performance in terms of restraint of a mother. I feel like you mentioned it, Dan. It's like the lead up to Hereditary. It's the lead up to Us and these performances that we would see in bigger films later, much more notable films later. In the horror genre, these singular beautiful actresses performances that are given, but there's just something about Davis here, and it was kind of a discovery for a lot of us at the time. It still is, and I'm glad that we nominated her, and I'm glad that Cotillard won for 2 days, one night. I think that that's a great performance. Like I honestly like between Cotillard, Pike, and Witherspoon. I think that those are like if it would have gone to any one of those, that would have been great. I understood why they went to Julianne Moore. Sophia's right. I would give her like 5 or 6 other Oscars in other categories that she's either been nominated for or hasn't been nominated for. And then, so like, but if Davis was on the board, I would take her. So that's where I go. But Cotillard is our winner.
The fun thing about Essie Davis, too, especially in The Babadook, is like around the same time, she was also in this Australian TV series called Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, where she plays like a murder-solving flapper lady detective in 1920s Australia. And you could not pick a role that is farther from what she does in The Babadook. And she is just as good. She's so fun and frothy and fabulous in that series, and I it's a fun watch actually. If you can find it anywhere like to watch, I recommend it.
I would love that.
Dan, give me the best actor nominee or best director nominee. Sorry, best director.
Best director nominees. Well, we have our winner, Alejandro González Iñárritu for Birdman. And we also have as his fellow nominees Wes Anderson for the Grand Budapest Hotel, Richard Linklater for Boyhood, Bennett Miller for Foxcatcher, and Morton Tildum for The Imitation Game.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Morton Tildum's gone. So
easiest cut to make.
Easiest one.
Easiest cut.
Easy.
I assume, based off of the not so glowing love for Birdman in this room, that Iñárritu is out as well.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah, that would be correct for me.
All right, that was easy. So Linklater, Miller, and Anderson remain. Who are we replacing these two with?
Jonathan Glazer, Under the Skin.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree.
The other name that I would throw out there is Paweł Pawłowski for Ida.
Mm-hmm. Also, David Fincher for Gone Girl. I love what he does when he elevates that trash. It's perfect.
I think, we've talked about that a lot, and I think that he doesn't even elevate it. I think to the extent that he does, he elevates it because he so fully embraces the material that he gets right at the heart of it and puts exactly what that material should be on screen. He embraces every aspect of it. To me, it's not even elevating. It's actually embracing all the dirtiness and seediness of it and putting that in there alongside the slick, entertaining stuff.
Yeah, that's probably right. I think it's more like he doesn't leave his precision at the door. Like he brings all of that kind of, what you expect from him. And it's just, he's perfectly suited for that material and he just makes it the best possible version I think that it can be, which is embracing those seedy, gross elements of it that make the book so good.
Josh?
Well, I mean, I have to say
let's do it.
I gotta say Christopher Nolan for Interstellar. It's my favorite movie of his, I'm gonna be honest. And I think that yes, that movie is kind of messy, but I sort of like the messiness of it. I like that it is so passionately just wearing its heart on its sleeve in a way that I don't think Nolan is used to doing, and I find that to be incredibly endearing. And I think that there are some particular set pieces in that film that will just stay with me forever. Like the docking sequence.
Yeah.
One of the most amazing times I've ever had in a theater. And I love his direction of that film.
I agree with you, Josh. I think that post Dark Knight, Nolan has been on a tear, and it's really, he's had a 4-film run that have been like home runs for me, and I think that there's messiness in all of his films, but something about the way in which his technical precision in Interstellar works so well with his emotionality that sort of the logic kind of, I could give a shit about like the logical story point problems that people have with it, because it's done so earnestly and done on such a big scale. And there's nobody outside of James Cameron right now that can do big scale filmmaking like Christopher Nolan. And I would say J.C. Chandor for Most Violent Year. I know, those performances are great, and that screenplay is too, but his direction's phenomenal. I would say Ava DuVernay for Selma. That was
she was another one.
That was the big miss.
That was supposed to happen. And it is
a lot of Selma was supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we have been just as disrespectful to it so far as the Academy has been.
I was going to say,
I think that says a lot more about this year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't think that because of our rules, we are being disrespectful to the film. I think that there are just so many great films, but I think the Academy was completely disrespectful to it. Had a chance, not just for history's sake, but it is phenomenal work. And we have seen the career of Ava DuVernay since, where she is a phenomenal storyteller and filmmaker and visualist. And yeah, it was wrong then to not nominate her. And I would throw her up for consideration here as well. Paul Thomas Anderson for Inherent Vice is another person I would also throw up there. It really, again, it's PTA. He makes a movie. It's great. There's, it's beautiful the way he's able to put all that together, this unadaptable novel into, I think, coherent incoherence is really one of those underrated gems within his filmography. I agree. I like Gone Girl a lot, and I think that it is in the upper tier of Fincher. But for me, I put a lot of that again on the script and those performances, and I know he has to get a lot of that out of there. And I think of more for a directorial flair for him and his precision. I think of a lot more of Dragon Tattoo, and then
what
of
about
course
the CGI gummy bears. That's all him.
That's
and his
fair.
Precision.
That's fair. I just as a directorial film, I just think what Gillian Flynn does on that page is just incredible, and that's why we gave her the award. And I think it's perfectly great there. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't be something I could consider in Pitcher, But just the directors would be a little bit higher for me there. But I mean, also it's David Fincher. I'm not going to be mad if he breaks into this category either. So yeah, I mean, those are, Pablo Pawlikowski. We mentioned that.
Jennifer Kent
the
Babadook, Jennifer Kent,
Bong Joon-ho
again, like how much the Babadook like presaged this era of elevated horror.
Yeah,
in heavy air quotes. Like that was sort of the first piece of that.
Yeah,
like horror as trauma metaphor.
Yeah,
it really kind of started there.
Yeah, and like how well that movie has aged. I mean, it still has fans. It still holds up really, really well after so many years of imitators. And yeah, I think a lot comes down to the way she directs it. I mean, you talk about how horror films have looked and felt since then. I feel like you could argue that she's actually the most influential of the directors for films from this year. Like that film has influenced how Ari Aster has shot his films.
Well, I think in terms of like modern
a lot of these things. Yeah.
Well, at least in terms of like a model.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of how to. Yeah, for sure. Also, Mike Leigh from Mr. Turner. That would be somebody else.
I was going to say him too. Mr. Turner. I feel like his work as a director, especially, is always very underrated.
Yeah, but it's being underrated again this year.
Right
now, as we speak.
Absolutely, Mr. Turner is something like he hasn't really done that kind of period, and the way that he brings all those artisans together as usual, it's just like that movie looks gorgeous. He really made that whole thing a testament to this artist in a way that very few other directors could. And I love that a lot. I also throw out Alain Giraudy for Stranger by the Lake. If for nothing else, then choosing Claire Mathon as his cinematographer and kickstarting her career because, oh my God.
Yep. All right. We got to pick two.
Do we want to each say our top two? Maybe that can help narrow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sophia?
Okay.
Number 1, Jonathan Glazer, Under the Skin, pretty easily. And then number 2, I'd go PTA for Inherent Vice.
Dan?
I think my number 1 would also be Jonathan Glazer for Under the Skin. And my number 2... I'm gonna say Jennifer Kent, honestly. I don't know if I was expecting to, but I think that's gonna be my number 2.
Josh?
My top 2 are names that have not been mentioned. So number 1 for me is Nolan for Interstellar, and 2 would be Ava DuVernay for Selma.
Oh.
I'll just say, like, I would not be mad about either of those, honestly. Like,
this is tough. I would say Jonathan Glazer for Under the Skin, and I would say Christopher Nolan for Interstellar. And if I had a third, it would be J.C. Chandor for Most Violent Year.
Well, Glazer is on 3 people's top spots, so feels like he's.
I feel like Glazer,
Nolan's the other consistent.
Yeah, Nolan was on 2.
Between
so.
the 2 of
yeah.
I feel Glazer.
And Nolan was my number 1.
Yeah,
right.
So I think that's what we're gonna go with. So we're gonna go with Christopher Nolan for Interstellar, and Jonathan Glazer for Under the Skin, Richard Linklater for Boyhood, Bennett Miller for Foxcatcher, and Wes Anderson for The Grand Budapest Hotel. Yeah. Those are our 5. That's a much better lineup.
That's a much better lineup.
That's it's just amazing what happens when you kick 2 people out and you just put them in.
Only kicked the worst of the category out.
It would have been fine. Man. Yeah, for Morton Tilton, for God's sakes. Has that man done anything since?
Jesus.
That name just sounds like the person who would direct The Imitation Game.
It's like Ben Zeitlin.
It sounds like
these are things that don't exist. You know
that sounds like a 1996 Miramax Best Director nomination.
Does.
Yes.
Like
exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God, that so is, Josh. And then we never hear from them again.
Exactly.
It's like
Frankly,
John
that should have
Watt.
been all-
It's like John Watts. No one knows that guy exists. That's an AI generated person.
We can
You
all
know?
agree that this is what was supposed to happen with Tom Hooper, and,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
And then he won.
everything just went to
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think More Than Tilden is just like Tom Hooper's name, like spelt in it, it's just anagrammed in a different way. All right. Who are we giving the wins to? Sophia, we'll start with you.
I would give the win to Jonathan Glazer, of course, just like I did for Birth, just like I would have last year in the head-to-head with Nolan for the Zone of Interest. And I feel like what he does here is it's just incredibly precise and strange. And it was so, unappreciated at the time, booed when it came out. And I think it was just it's hard to get on his wavelength sometimes, but I think every single element here works so perfectly to create something that I think is a feminist sci-fi masterpiece. And if I like something that's science fiction, it's tapping something different, I think. So he'd be my winner.
Josh?
Well, first of all, I'm just going to say that I agree with you about last year, Sophia. I also would have given Best Director to Glazer over Nolan. Even though I love Nolan's work on Oppenheimer, I think Jonathan Glazer does something very special.
Folks, we're
with Zone
not
of
doing that
Interest.
year for a while. It's just going
I
to
just-
put that out.
I just
there.
wanted to
just
give some support because I saw your look, Ryan.
Man, this is
It was just a head-to-head. I was just a little thematic
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
But in this lineup, my vote would actually be for Bennett Miller for Foxcatcher, which is a movie that I absolutely love. It is one of my all-time favorite movies. Bennett Miller is one of my favorite directors, and I just love the quiet atmosphere that he creates that's just so full of this tension and dread and that thematic exploration of this like American dynasty that lingers over this story of this like very rich guy who wants to try to prove himself and is doing so through these other people that also have very complicated lives. And the way that Miller sets all that up and explores that, I just think is fantastic. And I think Miller is 3 for 3 in terms of the movies he's made. I desperately want another one. Supposedly one is in production, which I'm so happy about. And yeah, he is. I love this nomination. A nomination I called too, by the way. I'm one of my favorite predictions to have gotten right in this category. So yeah, he would be my vote.
Need him to make more movies. Love Bennett Miller.
Yes.
Think he's phenomenal. Moneyball's my favorite of his, but Foxcatcher and Capote are really great work
Yeah.
as well.
They're all great. I
All
love
great.
all three of those movies.
It's like Spike Jones. It's like Glazer. It's like
Same,
Todd
yeah.
Field. Make more movies, guys.
Mhm.
Like, Dan.
Yeah, my winner is Jonathan Glazer. Under the Skin is so I did not know what to make of that opening sequence at all. There were definitely people in my theater that walked out during that sequence. I think that my partner at the time would have walked out if he wasn't with me. But after that sequence, I was just completely captivated by the storytelling, by what he was doing. The sort of guerrilla nature of a lot of the filmmaking in it is kind of incredible. And the overall vision, that movie has this hypnotic pull over me that I've never been able to escape. And I love it. My runner-up would be Wes Anderson. I think that he directs the hell out of Grand Budapest, even if I think the script got away from him a little. But I think there's so much fun that comes from the direction of that movie. I think it is the most Wes Anderson movie. So that's why he'd be my runner-up.
I would go with Richard Linklater for Boyhood. For me, that is, and I have heard you guys, I love you guys. One of the most baffling things at the Oscars that's ever happened. Beyond a gimmick of just having a one take is someone literally spending almost a decade and a half creating something and it working as I think profoundly as it does. It is a testament to a generation. It's a testament to a filmmaker and their style. I know that Glazer has won this before, and when we play this game again down the road, he will win again. I do not think Richard Linklater will. I think that this was his shot. And it always breaks my heart to know that Iñárritu would win literally the next year and didn't deserve that one either, because that's for George Miller.
If you want to talk about ones that he didn't deserve to win.
But I think that this was at the time where we were spreading the wealth. And the one year we decided not to was for this year. And it broke my heart. And it breaks my heart a little bit here that we're not giving it to Linklater, because I do think that that movie is such an important film for its year, for essentially our generation. There's two films that I think that really speak to the generation that I grew up as a part of. I think it's David Fincher's The Social Network, and I think included upon that now, upon the rewatch this year, is Boyhood, about these time capsule movies and what they say about us and what they say about our angst and our desires and our fears. And it's all played with the wisdom of the past from our parents, with also the soundtrack of our lives. And Linklater is notoriously great for doing all that. But there is an inherent sadness, I think, to Mason's journey by the end, that you hope and you pray that he finds himself, because he's still a wandering soul by the end of that movie. So I think that what Linklater did is phenomenal. I'm glad that we kept him here. I know that people are divisive and don't connect with it nearly as much and want it to be more than what it is. And I know that my bias is because like this is shot literally here, and Linklater is such a Texas director and whatnot. It's kind of also the similar thing as to why the ending for No Country for Old Men was never a problem for me, but it was for so many people at the time. It's a Texas thing, guys. Probably just going to have to accept that and move on. But there's something about Linklater over the years that I don't know. He may not be one of my guys, but I see a guy that is the best at what he does and what he knows how to do, which is make great intimate character studies. He's doing it again right now as we speak for Merrily We Roll Along, right? Or whatever that thing is, the musical. Don't like the casting of that, but we'll see that in about 20 years. And if the planet doesn't burn to the ground in the meantime. But I think he should win this, but we're giving it to Jonathan Glazer, and that's okay. So
let me be clear. This was the one that was heartbreaking to me at the time. I was very, very upset that Iñárritu, I thought, undeservedly won all these Oscars for a movie I didn't like. And Boyhood, it did hit me hard. So if I was going with the group, I would absolutely pick Linklater.
Oh, I mean,
Under the Skin is my favorite movie of the year, probably, or the directorial achievement for me.
Boyhood is not my favorite movie this year. Let me make that clear. But sometimes you just see a directorial vision and you go, damn it, that should win. You know what I mean? It should. It's not. It's like,
that and I feel a movie to me where I feel like the concept is really, really great, and I don't mind him getting a nomination for the concept and being able to actually execute it over the course of that amount of time. Like, absolutely, bravo. I just don't think that the ultimate film that comes out of that is quite at the same level as the concept behind the making of it.
Yeah, and no, I get that. I know that there's a lot of people that share that or even are worse on that sentiment, Dan, than yourself. There are a lot of people that I think really hate Boyhood and think that it is a gimmick and think that it is really terrible. And I feel really bad for those people. You know what I mean? Because they should experience things outside of their zone, or maybe they should, rewatch it again. Because there also is that hype, I think, too, that Birdman and Boyhood had at the time. And I think that's why everyone kind of, if you didn't like those two, Grand Budapest was a perfectly great other third option. And it kind of played out on the night as like, that seems like the third option, right? That seems like the one that they actually might have gone with. Now, I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, Jonathan Glazer, second win doing the game. All right. Best Picture. Birdman won Best Picture. We have American Sniper, Boyhood, Grand Budapest Hotel, Imitation Game, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. We can replace 4. Kind of feels like I know which 4 we're going to do. But
absolutely taking out The Theory of Everything. No, okay. The Imitation Game.
Oh, he said it. He said it. I'm not holding him to it.
I know y'all will vote for that, so I'm sure it'll be coming out. But
the Imitation Game is
the Imitation Game.
Well, first off, American Sniper is gone. Correct, folks?
That's
okay. All right.
That's
gone.
Goodbye.
Right. Goodbye, American Sniper. So American Sniper gone. Imitation Game. All around? Yeah.
Gone.
Gone.
Bye.
So those are the easy 2 that are out. Theory of Everything.
I would remove it.
I assume that everyone will vote to remove
3 out of 4. Majority votes. It's out. All right. You have one last one here. There's Birdman, Boyhood, Grand Budapest Hotel, Selma, and Whiplash. Is it Birdman?
You know what I would vote.
Birdman.
Me too.
I would take a Whiplash.
I still like Whiplash, though. I know it has issues, but I still find it to be a very entertaining film.
Me too.
I will say, I'll just go on record. Birdman, for me, this is one of the few years where it was the first time in a long time that my favorite film of the year won the Best Picture.
Oh, this is your favorite film of the year?
It was
the time. Okay.
Since then, there are other movies that I have seen. I specifically Ida, which I did not see that year, right. Was absolutely above that. And with Time, I have put Pride above that as well. But like, there.
Oh, I thought you said you put your Pride above it, but no, the movie Pride. I'm like, damn, what a profound growth in Dan there. Jeez.
Right? I know. I'm so proud of me, the growth.
Pat yourself on the back. I think it's gonna be Birdman though. And that's
I wouldn't take either of them out, frankly. I don't much care for Whiplash, honestly, and if we're choosing them, I'd pick to get rid of that one over Birdman. But I do think like there's one aspect of each of them that to me like sort of makes me want to keep it, which is the cinematography for Birdman. I think like we can debate whether the gimmick is worth it or not, but I think that what Lubeski does do with the camera is pretty freaking great in that movie. And Whiplash, I think that movie, even though I don't like it on the level that everyone else does, it is absolutely fantastically edited.
Yeah, that finale to Whiplash, I think, is just incredible.
And that's why I've never had like the problem with it getting the Best Picture nomination, because like, okay, yeah, that finale absolutely sends you out on a high. I get that. That's why it's here.
Yeah,
and I actively hate the cinematography of Birdman. I do not like that decision. I think it is actually totally wrong for that material.
Okay, I think Birdman's out. Sorry, Dan.
Look, I know that I'm one of the like few big defenders of that movie.
Well, I think most people do like Birdman. It's just not this.
I think you're in a tough group.
Like in this space. Like,
yeah, it's okay.
I think we are actually the minority opinion overall when it comes to that movie.
Yeah. Because I was scared to make the Lubeski comment, so I'm glad that you did,
Josh,
for this movie.
Yeah. God, I feel like the decision to shoot that all in one take is all just a gimmick. And what's so frustrating is like in that type of movie, you need like juxtapositions between your different shots to make your close-ups then feel like they have some importance. But to just drift from like a medium shot to a close-up is so claustrophobic. Don't like the way that movie is shot. I really have strong opinions about it.
So we're keeping Boyhood, the Grand Budapest Hotel, Selma, and Whiplash. Those are our 4. So we have 4 to replace. We are not doing 10, just to, in case the listenership fast forwarded. We're only keeping it 8 because the Academy gave us 8. So Under the Skin is going to be in.
Yeah,
I assume.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Better be.
The Most Violent Year is what I would put up.
I would be in support of that. For me, I would also say Foxcatcher, which is
Foxcatcher's up
not in
there.
here for some strange
I knew
reason.
you
Yeah,
would
that's
say that one.
Yeah,
that kind of
it's
made
not
no
here, right?
So
fucking
weird,
sense. It's
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
I know we've talked a lot about Gone Girl, and it could
Yeah.
easily be up here. Interstellar,
Inherent Vice.
Inherent Vice,
The
Interstellar,
Babadook.
The Babadook.
I will also throw out because I think it deserves its spot in the Best Picture lineup. I think 2 Days, One Night is one of the best films of this year, and not just for Marion. I think that the story they're telling, how they tell it, really incredible stuff.
I still think you guys are sleeping on Cake.
I mean, I sleep on cake every night. I don't know
there
what
you go.
you do, Ryan, but
I
and also Ida. I'll throw out Ida as well.
Yeah.
Some of the
Don't
best
know if-
performances and cinematography of that year.
I know that Nightcrawler was mentioned a bunch. We have our actor winner from Nightcrawler. That's in contention, I would assume.
I'm really only passionate about Jake and Nightcrawler. Like, I'm okay if we have other movies in instead of it.
Was just throwing out titles.
Yeah.
I will shout out The Immigrant again as well.
The Lego
Another
Movie.
Great Marion Cotillard movie. Lego Movie, absolutely.
Very good movie.
Very good movie.
I'll say Snowpiercer too.
Snowpiercer.
A lot of fun. And wild, honestly, even.
Wild. Yeah, makes sense. We don't have to make it line up with our other nominees, but if you wanted to, like, Wild seems like it. I think Foxcatcher is also another one that could line up there as well.
Yeah.
And Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, which is damn good movie.
The best blockbuster of that year.
Well, I mean, Interstellar is there, but yeah,
well,
sure.
Traditional,
like action. Well, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is there too. Like, I think that those are.
I think Edge of Tomorrow is better.
Yeah.
Well, they're all really good guys. I'm just not gonna nitpick. I don't discriminate amongst very rewatchable movies for myself. Yeah, Mr. Turner, Only Lovers Left Alive, just some other films that I have here that were thrown out. Okay,
it's a good year for movies.
Good year for movies.
It's a good movie year.
Under the Skin's in. I think The Most Violent Year is in. Right? Is that good? I
mean, it is for me.
It is for me.
Yeah.
All right. How about everybody give me a 4? Let's do that.
Because here's the thing: is like there's like some that I really want in, and then there's others that I am just like I'm still passionate about, but I don't know how much they are over another title is the thing.
Okay. All right. Well, how do we want to do this? Do we want to give 4? Do we want to?
My top 3 are Under the Skin, Gone Girl, and Inherent Vice.
Okay, my top 3 would be Under the Skin, Ida, and The Babadook.
Josh?
I like those as well.
Well, I'm breaking again. Because my top 3 would be Foxcatcher, Interstellar, and A Most Violent Year.
I love that. Yeah, I would do what Josh is doing, and I throw it Under the Skin in there. That'd be my 4. I'm rocking with Josh's vibing. I like that. I like the Foxcatcher because it just makes sense with everything else. I like The Most Violent Year. It's my favorite movie of the year. I love Interstellar because I'm big softy when it comes to that, and Under the Skin makes sense because Glazer and that movie rules, and that's in my top 5. And Inherent Vice is like right there.
Well, we're the only 2 that like it, so it makes sense to not put Inherent Vice
exactly.
in.
That's why I kind of like put it to the side. Kind of figured I would be the only one defending that movie, maybe, but But I'm glad that
defender of that movie.
I'm glad that you like it though.
Yeah.
Sophia.
I've tried, guys. I really
It's
haven't.
okay.
You know me. I love PTA.
I know.
No, it's a tough one for people. I get it.
That is one of those movies where like I like a lot of things about it.
Exactly.
And the whole just comes to less than the sum of its parts.
There are elements of that movie
just watch
I
it on a
do
loop
love.
for 24 hours, Dan, and then you'll get it. You know what I mean? Just go put it on after this. Okay.
Well, I mean, clearly I would be fine with what Ryan just said, but it's very tailored to me. So,
what about Gone Girl, though? That's my only one. But if you guys like the other ones more, that's okay, and I'm okay getting rid, like not having it because it was in other places.
I will say that I'm
It won
especially
adapted
okay.
screenplay.
I'm especially okay with Interstellar in the lineup. I think it's kind of weird that a movie that well crafted missed to begin with, and was as big a hit as it was.
It's so,
you know.
Say it.
It's all right. You can say it.
I just think it's a lot. It's very far fetched for them. I like that movie, but I think it's very cheesy, and at the time that was the reception to it from a lot of people.
Cheesy.
Oh, I know.
Like,
I prefer that to the Dunes 9 times out of 10. You know, like I would rather it be fun and wearing its heart on its sleeve. I would love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that it didn't happen.
No, his ambitious stuff usually has not connected entirely with them unless
like
he has
Tenet.
Yeah. Man,
I love Tenet.
that just hurt. I love Tenet so much. I think Interstellar and Under the Skin, A Most Violent Year, and then I would be willing to put Ida in.
Well, what happened to Foxcatcher?
Or Foxcatcher though too.
Yeah. I like having one foreign film in the lineup at least, so I will push for Ida on that way. Like,
does that mean A Most Violent Years on the chopping block?
If it was between The Most Violent Year and Foxcatcher, I would prefer Foxcatcher.
Okay, then let's do Ida, Under the Skin, Interstellar, and Foxcatcher.
I would be good with that.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Sorry, Ryan.
It's okay, guys. I'm just the host of this
cut
show.
Interstellar.
Not doing that. You'd like no. Not doing that. No. I cut a lot of other stuff, to be fair. Let's I would cut some Whiplash and I would cut some other stuff before I would do it. It's okay. I can't win them all. But I do have a vote in my back pocket from Dan, so I can use that during Best Picture. So Under the Skin, right? And then Interstellar. And then The Most Violent Year. No? Yeah.
No,
Most Violent.
I thought it was Ida and Foxcatcher.
Are we doing Ida and Foxcatcher? No, I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought that's what we said.
Under the Skin.
Yeah.
And I thought it was. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, Ida. Sorry.
Ryan trying to get his choice back in.
I know. I'm like, we just talked about losing it. Like,
Catcher. Shh, I was trying. All right. Boyhood, Grand Budapest Hotel, Selma, Whiplash, Under the Skin, Interstellar, Ida, Foxcatcher. Okay. That's our 8. That's a really great lineup, though.
Yeah.
I can't get mad at it. All right. Sophia.
Oh, me first. Well,
Use carefully.
No, I think you'll be shocked and happy with my choice potentially, but you know, I've held a 10-year grudge now towards Birdman for beating the movie that I wanted to win Best Picture, which was Boyhood. So I will be voting for Boyhood. I personally, do I think Under the Skin is a stronger movie? Yes, absolutely I do. I think it's a greater technical achievement. And however, there is something about when I watched Boyhood back then that just struck a chord with me that just felt like this is the movie of the year. This is summing up the experience of, I was again watching it as a senior in college. I was at like a very particular time in my life. And then, later on, there's a moment where, and I know you guys don't like the Patricia Arquette character, but there's a moment in the movie where she's thinking about her kids' stages. She's thinking about the stages of her life when he's at that point, when he's leaving for college. And as I was thinking about it, it just made me think of how differently adults and kids process time. And now I'm not a mother to a high school student, but I think about that more of, I don't know, just how we think about time and plotting out our time and regrets and hopes and fears and all of that. And I think it's really beautiful. And I think that's why for me, it does stand the test of time and it does hold up, and you can watch it later on in life and get something new out of it. And I think that's what Linklater was hoping for when he made it. And it does work for me. So I'm going to get my Oscar revenge and vote for it here.
All right. Dan?
The movie in this lineup that is the highest on my personal list is actually Ida. So that will be getting my vote for Best Picture.
All right.
It's a good vote.
Josh?
I have to pick the movie that was number one on my list in 2014. It's my favorite movie of the year. I think one of the best movies of the decade that it came out. And for me, that is Foxcatcher. I absolutely love that film.
I love that, Josh. I love that you got it in here. It really should have been in, if it was in an expanded 10, I think it would have been in there.
If it was,
it should have been in just a sliding scale in general. It's kind of stupid that it wasn't.
It is weird for a movie to have director, lead actor, supporting actor, and screenplay nominations to not be nominated for picture. That is bizarre.
It's really wild.
Well, no, Wild is the film with Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
And that
it's been confusing me whenever we've said it this whole time.
I know it has happened already.
Are we talking about the movie or something else?
Just been waiting for me to make that joke all night long.
Like, is it a description
no, but that's
of
the whole thing,
another movie or the movie itself? Yeah.
That's the whole thing, because the movie Wild, not so wild.
Yeah.
No.
True.
That's the ironic thing.
Actually, pretty tame. Okay. I hold a lot of power here because I've got Dan's swing vote. So I can really go whatever the fuck I want here and really just solidify what the best picture is going to be. Unless an alliance breaks apart, which I doubt there will be, but it's okay. I really like Sophia's way of thinking about Boyhood. But then Interstellar's nominated too, and I could really just cause chaos and do that. That would be really fun. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it, Dan? This episode's gone on way too long anyway.
Like you wouldn't get a whole lot of argument
pivot,
about that.
I'd pivot to Ida.
Yeah. Look, I love Interstellar, but I understand my limitations.
I got two silver sovereigns in my pocket right now, guys, and I'm ready to take them to the fucking bank. Okay. No, if I didn't get it in director, I'm getting it in picture. I'll take Boyhood. I think that again, it's a time capsule movie. It really is. And I know that doesn't work for everybody. Guess what? It worked for me. And it still does, weirdly enough. And all that music, guess what, guys? I listen to that music all the time because
I'm by Family of the Year.
I'm basic fucking millennial, if there ever was one. And there's nothing better than a scene where a father and a son are sitting in a car talking about Wilco lyrics, because that's just not going to be like a thing that is right up my alley. But more importantly, I think that it is just an achievement within a year that usually gets celebrated. It usually does. And it's kind of like a perfect thing to reward somebody like Linklater, who is another person who's obsessed with time, not just Christopher Nolan, and obsessed with characters. And specifically this time period within Linklater's life, this sort of this resurgence. We get a before movie, we get Everybody Wants Some, and we get this sort of in the middle. and that's about like marriages and relationships and those things that he was really obsessed with those characters early on and putting them in an awkward place. Then he's making this giant movie about, childhood, and specifically childhood in this region. And I think that that's the thing. It's like, I know that for everyone, they wanted it to be a sort of more universal thing. And the marketing in that movie sort of really specified that being like, this is for every boy and every girl of this entire generation. I'm like, no, I think it really is just a kind of like at times a snapshot of just this area, this particular thing. Because there's so many just like Texas things through and through that define that movie. And that can still ring universal, like something like Lady Bird can ring universal outside of Sacramento. And it doesn't have to be yelled at upon. It can just be discovered upon. And I think then you have Everybody Wants Some, which was sort of perfect because it's like I was in college right around that time, and that movie's so much fun. It's a callback to Dazed and Confused. So it's a perfect time to also reward him. It's a really good movie. I love it. And it's our best picture winner, guys. So, and Dan technically had to vote for it too because I got his vote. So it's a 3-4 split.
Not because you already had enough votes to win. I
just
stand by
not that's not what it says on paper though, and I changed the paper. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, Linklater gets an Oscar anyway.
Hey, yeah, he's producer.
Yep.
So there you go.
Your local boy, Ryan McQuade.
There you go. It worked. You know what? It worked out.
I'd like to investigate the balloting. I like the recount of these votes.
It's probably the best outcome in an election Texas has had in 40 years. All right.
I was going to say, may we have a good outcome.
Yeah, Ryan, we're counting on you Tuesday.
Yeah, come on, Ryan.
Come on.
We gave
guys,
you this. The least
I'm doing the best I can. All right.
Make sure you get other people to do it too, because God, we want the sweet satisfaction of a good result out of that state.
Guys, I can tell you this. I have been talking to pretty much everyone, and it just drives me nuts. It's like everybody hates that man that is in that seat. So I have a weird optimistic feeling that we're going to get 2 check marks, but you never know. Like, I don't know. But also, I live in the state of Texas. They have disappointed me my entire life. So, but I will also say this about tonight in this exercise real quick, and then we can wrap it up and get out of here, is that this year I always wanted a split in picture, director, screenplay.
That's what most people wanted.
This is what we did tonight, and I am so proud of this group. Ice cream's all around, but you guys have to buy because I'm not paying. So there you go. Dan Bear, can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet?
You can find me and all my Birdman love on Twitter at Dancin' Dan on Film, and go comment about how wrong I am about the theory of everything, which I always don't know why I always say the theory of everything for Imitation Game and say the Imitation Game for
I think you know why. I think you really like it. I think you really like it, Dan.
Nope, not at all. The Imitation Game is a piece of trash. You can find me on Letterboxd for those things at Dancin' Dan.
Doesn't like the Sunset Boulevard musical, don't they kind of do essentially like a Birdman outside in Times Square sort of thing, right? Like where they film and go out.
Changed it a bit.
Yeah, do they change it a bit? Okay,
changed it a bit because I saw it in previews and they were doing that. It's like right after the intermission, which is really cool. It's right outside of the theater. Mm-hmm. But I know they've switched it up a little bit because they ran into some issues with it.
Yeah, like one of the security guys, like literally, like knocked out somebody in the middle. Like they're like, "Excuse me," and like so. Yeah, that's why
you see that because
that's
Nicole
why you
Scherzinger is amazing.
Yes, and that's why you have preview screenings, folks. Anyway, Josh Parham, Mr. Foxcatcher.
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at JR Parham, and you can also find my work over at Next Best Picture and Awards Watch.
Go follow Josh over there. He's gonna be screaming about when Bennett Miller's next movie is coming out.
I'm constantly.
We all want it. We all want it. Like if you don't
10
want
years
that,
now, I've been screaming about this.
It's like him and Spike Jonze. I'm like, just stop whatever you're doing. Make movies. It's okay. There's a lot of people that have had multiple movies made in that time period, and I sit there and I go, how are you getting money? But they're not. Anyway, Taika Waititi. Anyway, Sophia.
Taika Waititi was shockingly not the name that flashed in my head. It was David Gordon Green. But
Oh, yeah, that too.
Mm.
Adam McKay. Yeah, there's
Adam
a lot.
McKay, yeah. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Sophia_Sim. You can find me on Letterboxd at Faye Dunaway. My podcast, Oscar Wilde. You can find us on all podcast platforms and on Twitter at Oscar Wilde Pod. We have an episode this week on the Best Director wins of John Ford. So we're going back in time a little bit. Had a lot of fun with that. And then you can find reviews from everything from Telluride, New York Film Festival, AFI, interviews, more podcasts at AwardsWatch.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd at Ryan McQuade 77. If you like podcasts, we have the Director Watch podcast that Jay and I are starting a new series this week over Kieslowski. We are doing the double life of Veronique, right? I'd say that right. All right, cool. I didn't screw it up. I'm worried about screwing it up on the show. And we're going to do 3 colors, and we're going to do a bonus episode on the Decalogue. So that is what we plan on doing for that series. And then we're going to have a really fun series to end the year. We're not telling anybody yet. We got a month before that starts, but it's going to be a fun series. And maybe some voices here that were on this episode. Tease will be on that series. iTunes, Spotify, 5 stars. Greatly appreciated. While you're over on the website, please sign up for the newsletters. It's a great place to get all of our news, reviews, interviews, festival stuff. Award season is kicking in. So predictions, all that stuff in between. That'll be a great place to go and sign up and get that. Next week's show, we will be back. We're going to be talking about Steve McQueen's Blitz, reviewing that, talking about that just a little bit. And then we're going to do something that's a little bit fun. We're going to do a character actor draft. Best character actors. Don't know the details of that yet. Haven't put that together. Going to do that soon. Going to need the committee to come together and put the rules together. Maybe that'll include Josh. Maybe that'll include Jay. Maybe that'll include others. Who knows? We'll have to get the rules down, but it'll be fun. So thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time.